Chapter 927. Whoosh. Little Devil Lord's figure flashed as he chased after the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple. With a claw, he destroyed all of the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple's attacks. Then he grabbed the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple's throat and lifted him high into the air. Lu Ming, I'm telling you, don't let me touch him. Otherwise, I'll make sure he dies a horrible death. Little Demon Lord's face was extremely ferocious. He hated Lu Ming to the core. You better let him go. Otherwise, I guarantee that you'll be the one who dies a horrible death. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out as Lu Ming walked out from an alley. Lu Ming Zongzi. The Talisman Puppet Sect disciple revealed a joyful expression. Little Demon Lord spat out the two words one by one. His voice was incomparably cold. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect to bump into Lu Ming just as he was talking about him. Lu Ming's gaze swept across. When he saw the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple being killed, his eyes revealed a trace of gloominess. Lu Ming, aren't you going to save him? Let's see how you're going to save him. Hee. Little Demon Lord sneered. He suddenly exerted strength in his hand and with a crack, he crushed the Talisman Puppet Sect disciple to death. Boom. A berserk aura exploded from Lu Ming's body. A cold killing intent burst out and enveloped Little Demon Lord. Luoli, you'll die today. Lu Ming's eyes were incomparably cold. He looked at Little Demon Lord as if he was looking at a dead man. Lu Ming, don't think that you can kill me. I didn't use my full strength last time. It's still unknown who will emerge victorious. A powerful aura also exploded from Little Demon Lord's body. A black demonic aura soared into the sky. Bang, bang. Lu Ming strode forward. The 5 dragon energies in his body erupted at the same time. The surface of his body was covered with a thick layer of scales. Kill? The word kill was spat out like thunder. Lu Ming struck out with his palm, causing the space to tremble. 9 Death's demonic saber. A pitch-black saber appeared in Little Demon Lord's hand. A sharp saber light burst out. Boom. With a massive explosion, the Little Demon Lord's body shook and he staggered backwards. How can his strength be so terrifying? The Little Demon Lord's face revealed a trace of shock. The last time he fought with Lu Ming did not explode with the power of 5 dragons. Die. Lu Ming took a large step forward. An explosive force blasted out. His palm was like an ancient divine mountain, containing boundless strength as it chopped down at the Little Demon Lord. I don't believe it. The Little Demon Lord roared. He stretched out his hand and pointed at his chest. Suddenly, a deep roar came from his mouth. Then the Little Demon Lord's body began to swell. From his arms and shoulders, malevolent bone spikes protruded out. His aura also soared. Lu Ming, die. Little Demon King roared. Like a demonic creature, he strode toward Lu Ming. With a wave of his hand, those bone spurs pierced through the air, emitting a sharp whistling sound as they pierced toward Lu Ming. Bang, bang. True essence roared within his body. 4 different concepts lingered around him. Lu Ming used his palm to revolve the suppressing hell-heaven art, constantly bombarding the Little Demon Lord. The two of them were like a monster and a demon. They used a very direct method to constantly bombard each other. The entire area violently shook. The surrounding palaces all heard it. Someone is fighting. Come, let's go take a look. A tall and sturdy youth was exploring a palace. When he heard the commotion, he rushed over to the source of it. There were also others who heard the commotion but didn't dare to rush over. This was because the commotion was too shocking and far surpassed their strength. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and the Little Demon Lord had exchanged several dozen moves. Gradually, the Little Demon Lord fell into a disadvantage and Lu Ming gained the upper hand. Lu Ming's palm struck the Little Demon Lord's shoulder, breaking the bone spikes and causing a massive wound to appear. The Little Demon Lord angrily roared. Brr. At this time, there was a loud roar and a tall and sturdy youth appeared. His eyes were ominous and he bared his fangs. Brother Jean, let's work together and kill Lu Ming. Seeing this youth, the Little Demon Lord was overjoyed. Good, that's exactly what I wanted. The tall and sturdy youth revealed a sinister smile. In the next moment he transformed into a giant tiger and pounced at Lu Ming. This was the powerful genius of the Sky Monster Valley. He possessed 50% of a god beast's bloodline and his combat strength was incomparably terrifying. Lu Ming, die. The Little Demon Lord's eyes revealed a sinister light. A hideous creature appeared above his head. This was a demonic creature with a dense demonic aura. It had a wide mouth and sharp fangs, and its entire body was covered in bone spikes. Around the demonic creature, 5 golden chakras shined. This was the little demon lord's bloodline, a 5th-grade divine realm bloodline. The little demon lord turned into a beam of light that fused into his bloodline. He completely transformed into a demonic creature. Demonic aura surged as he charged at Lu Ming. "The ones to die are you," Lu Ming shouted. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and turned into 9 dragons. A vast dragon might spread out. "This is." The golden tiger was shocked and felt a little scared. The true dragon was the leader of all beasts. There were not many species that could stand shoulder to shoulder with it. Other god beasts would instinctively feel awe when facing the true dragon, let alone the 9 dragons. The golden tiger was shocked. The 9 dragons' claws slashed down and sent the golden tiger flying. Then, another claw struck out and clashed with the little demon lord, causing him to stagger back. Brr. At this time the golden tiger was roused. It roared and pounced at Lu Ming. "The 9 dragons' bloodline. This is the legendary 9 dragons. You actually awakened the 9 dragons' bloodline. Hand it over." The golden tiger roared, its eyes full of greed. The 9 dragons were a higher-level existence than the true dragon. If it could deprive Lu Ming of the 9 dragons' bloodline, even if it couldn't use it, it would be able to offer it to the supreme of the Flood Dragon tribe. It would definitely receive an amazing reward. At the same time, the little demon lord also rushed at Lu Ming. 9 dragons trampling the sky. The 9 dragon claws stepped on the void as though they were the real 9 dragons stepping on the sky, surveying the world and ruling the world. A terrifying dragon might spread out. Under the 9 claws, a vast power exploded. Lu Ming had cultivated the 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps to the 6th step. It was equivalent to the highest level of upper-grade half-god level martial arts. However, after transforming into the 9 dragons and executing it, the power was even more terrifying. Boom, boom. 2 shocking sounds rang out. The little demon lord and the golden tiger were sent flying by Lu Ming. Turbulent energy spread out in all directions. However, it was unknown if the palace was set up with an inscription formation or if it was made of special materials, but it was sturdy and indestructible. The powerful energy that could pierce through the earth didn't leave a single mark on it. How can he be so strong? The little demon lord cried out in disbelief. He and the golden tiger were both at the 4th level of spirit embryo realm, 2 whole levels higher than Lu Ming. How was it possible for them to be at a disadvantage even after working together? Kill? The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and pounced at the little demon lord. Boom. With a claw, the little demon lord spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Over a dozen of the malevolent bone spikes on his body were broken. "Join hands, join hands." The little demon lord roared, slightly panicking. He was no match for Lu Ming alone. On the other side, the golden tiger was slightly frightened. However, it still let out an angry roar and pounced at Lu Ming. At this moment, a picture scroll flew out from the heart of the 9 dragons' brows. Chapter 928. The mountain river diagram glowed and expanded rapidly, wrapping around the golden tiger. The golden tiger roared and struggled, but the mountain river diagram glowed and it could not break free. "It really works." Lu Ming was delighted. This was a temporary use that he had thought of. The mountain river diagram was a grotto heaven treasure that contained a world. Naturally, it was sturdy and indestructible. If the golden tiger was entangled, it should not be able to break free. Sure enough, the effect was very good. The golden tiger was trapped. "Luoli, let's see who can help you now." The 9 dragons' eyes emitted a ferocious light as they pounced on the little demon lord, using the 9 dragons' heaven stomp. Bam, bam. The little demon lord was no match for it and kept retreating. The bone spurs on his body were broken, his flesh and blood splattered, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. "Go, go." The little demon lord was scared and wanted to escape, but the 9 dragons had completely blocked his escape route. How could he escape? Pucci. Then, the little demon lord screamed as one of his arms was torn off by the 9 dragons. The huge demonic creature shrank rapidly and turned back into the little demon lord. At this time, his face was pale and his eyes were filled with fear. Die. The huge dragon claw grabbed at the little demon lord. "No, no, Lu Ming, you can't kill me. My big brother is the demon lord Luo Tian, 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. If you kill me, my big brother won't let you go." The little demon lord shouted as he desperately tried to resist. "Ridiculous. Weren't you very arrogant before? Now that you've lost, you bring up your big brother. What a good-for-nothing." Lu Ming scolded coldly. The dragon claw did not stop. Bam. The little demon lord screamed as a huge wound appeared on his body. Blood flowed out and his aura became even weaker. On the other side, the golden tiger roared and emitted a bright golden light. Unfortunately, it was useless as it could not break through the mountain river diagram. Chi-chi. The dragon claw continued to descend and slammed into the little demon lord's chest, sending him flying into the wall of a palace. The palace did not move, but the little demon lord's entire body crackled with the sound of bones breaking. He then fell to the ground, unable to move like a dead fish. Lu Ming transformed into his human form and stepped forward, stepping on the little demon monarch's face. A long spear appeared in his hand and he pressed it against the little demon monarch's heart. No, no, don't kill me. The little demon lord was incomparably terrified. His entire body went cold as he felt the god of death approach. He had never been so scared before. Ever since he was young, he had been the pride of the heavens. His elder brother Luo Tian was even more terrifyingly talented. He was almost invincible. They had been taken into the D Tian Imperial Guard since they were young and had been nurtured meticulously. He had never been so close to death before. He had never been so afraid before. He had always been the one killing others. When had others ever been able to kill him? Those who ranked higher than him on the list of top 1,000 talents had to give him face because his elder brother was Luo Tian. But now Lu Ming's murderous intent was incomparably cold. He was completely unafraid that his elder brother would kill him. If I don't kill you, why didn't you consider letting my talisman puppet sect disciples go when you killed them? Lu Ming sneered and looked down at the little demon monarch. The little demon monarch was speechless. In his heart, those talisman puppet sect disciples were all trash. How could they compare to him? But how could he say such a thing out loud? Lu Ming, my elder brother Luo Tian, is invincible and ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. His combat strength is far beyond your imagination. No matter how talented you are no match for my elder brother. You better let me go. Otherwise, no one will be able to save you. The little demon monarch continued to use his elder brother, hoping to deter Lu Ming. Bam! Lu Ming stomped hard on the little demon king's face. The little demon king's face slammed hard on the ground. A few of his teeth fell out and blood flowed from his mouth. Ridiculous. No matter how strong Luo Tian is, he's only ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Not counting the demon clan, there are 9 humans who are stronger than him. How can he be invincible? Also, is your elder brother comparable to Di? Even Di wants to catch me, but I'm still fine. What do you mean no one will be able to save me? If your elder brother comes, I'll kill him. Lu Ming sneered and his killing intent intensified. Lu Ming stopped. At this moment, a figure appeared in a small alley. It was Brother Li Tian. Ah, Brother Li Tian, save me, save me. Seeing Brother Li Tian, the little demon monarch screamed desperately. It doesn't matter who you call. Die. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ming thrust his long spear and pierced the little demon monarch's heart. The little demon monarch let out a hysterical scream. His eyes bulged, filled with unwillingness and resentment. Bam! The long spear shook and vital essence exploded, crushing the little demon monarch's heart. The little demon monarch died. At the entrance of the alley, Brother Li Tian's expression was ugly. He turned around and left. In a flash, he disappeared into the alley. Brother Li Tian was very clear that his combat strength was at most a little higher than the little demon monarch's. If they fought, he was most likely not a match for Lu Ming, so he simply left. Lu Ming glanced in the direction Brother Li Tian left and didn't chase. Instead, he waved his hand and put away the little demon monarch's storage ring. Then he walked towards the golden tiger. Ah, don't kill me. The golden tiger screamed in horror and struggled with all its might. Seeing the little demon monarch being killed in front of him, he was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Boom! Lu Ming clenched his fist and punched the golden tiger's head. Bam! The golden tiger couldn't resist and was heavily punched. It immediately felt dizzy and felt that its head was about to shatter. Stars appeared in its eyes. Nest, this tiger's head is too hard. It didn't die after a punch. Lu Ming was also startled. He was well aware of how terrifying his punch was. But the fact that it didn't shatter the tiger's head surprised Lu Ming. No, don't kill me. I admit defeat. I surrender. I recognize you as my big brother. I beg you, please let me go. The golden tiger shook its head and began to loudly beg for mercy. Its cries were incomparably miserable. Lu Ming, I'm begging you. I have an 80-year-old mother and a 3-year-old child. I'm begging you. Please spare me. From now on, you're my elder brother. I'll definitely be grateful to you, The ferocious golden tiger continued to roar. Lu Ming was stunned. This golden tiger was also a weirdo. Nonsense, I see that your yang energy is abundant. You clearly haven't lost your virginity, so where did this 3-year-old child come from? Lu Ming's eyes turned and he reprimanded. That's a child I picked up from a barren mountain. Every word is true. The golden tiger's eyes turned and he continued to talk nonsense. Alright, don't talk nonsense in front of me. You can surrender if you want, but relax your mind. I want to engrave a formation in your mind. Otherwise, I won't be at ease and will have to kill you. You contain 50% of the divine beast's bloodline. The tiger's penis is also a great tonic. Having said that, Lu Ming stole a few glances behind the golden tiger. The golden tiger felt cold all over and couldn't help but clamp its hind legs together. Engrave the formation. The golden tiger hesitated. He knew very well that if the formation was engraved, he would truly become Lu Ming's slave. Chapter 929. He had 50% of the bloodline of a divine beast and he had a bright future ahead of him. He did not want to die just like that. At the thought of being killed by Lu Ming and becoming his food, he felt chills all over his body. As for his backbone, he had lived for so long and didn't know what it was. Saving his life was the most important thing in his heart. Therefore, he only pondered for a moment before nodding repeatedly. Okay, I agree. Carve the formation and you'll be my big brother in the future. After saying that, there was a pitiful look in his eyes. However, he was burly, had a wide mouth, and was filled with a ferocious aura. How could he look pitiful at all? Relax your mind and don't resist at all. After saying that, Lu Ming began to carve the formation. The soul-splitting formation. Lu Ming had once used this formation to control Wang Haoxian. Soon, the formation was formed and sank into the head of the golden tiger. Soul-splitting formation. As long as I use my mind, your soul will be torn apart. If it's light, you'll become an idiot. If it's heavy, you'll die on the spot. Do you want to try its effect? Lu Ming put away the mountain river diagram and looked at the golden tiger. The golden tiger's eyes rolled and he said, No need, no need. You're an expert of the talisman puppet sect and proficient in the Tao of inscription. I naturally believe in you. Big brother, you'll be my big brother in the future. The golden tiger transformed into a human. He was a burly young man with strong muscles all over his body. His arms were thicker than Lu Ming's thighs. Get lost, who's your big brother? Lu Ming berated. Okay, not big brother but boss. You're my boss. The golden tiger immediately nodded and bowed. Lu Ming's expression became better and he said, What's your name? I'm called King Kong. How about it? Isn't this name mighty? As he spoke, the muscles on King Kong's body kept twitching. Ah, mighty indeed mighty. You'd better transform into your beast form and be my mount for this period of time. Lu Ming instructed. Be your mount? King Kong widened his eyes and revealed a ferocious expression. Who was he? He was a demon prodigy with 50% divine beast bloodline. Thousands of demons would bow down to him. Now, Lu Ming was asking him to be his mount? His anger soared to the sky. What? You want to test the power of the soul-splitting array? Lu Ming looked at King Kong with an unfriendly gaze. Jin Gang immediately admitted defeat and lost all of his imposing manner. He grinned and said, No, how can that be? It's my honor to be able to become your mount. With that, he transformed into a ferocious golden tiger. He was 3 meters tall and 6 meters long. His entire body was covered in golden hair, without any impurities. His hair was as smooth and soft as silk. Needless to say, this fellow's appearance was not bad. Although King Kong looked honest on the surface, he was cursing in his heart. I'll endure it. I'll endure it for now. When the battle of Providence is over, I'll go out and find a way to crack that array. I'll definitely cut this brat into pieces to relieve my heartache. Thinking of this, King Kong's eyes revealed a trace of ferocity. This fellow seems to be honest on the surface. If I don't teach him a lesson, he might stab me in the back. Lu Ming's lips curled into a sneer. Suddenly, with a thought, the power of the soul-splitting array erupted. King Kong screamed and let out an earth-shattering roar, rolling on the ground. What's going on? What's going on? Why am I suddenly in so much pain? It hurts, it hurts. King Kong kept roaring and rolling on the ground. After a while, Lu Ming stopped controlling the soul-splitting array. King Kong lay on the ground weakly with his tongue hanging out, looking exhausted. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally triggered the soul-splitting array that I engraved in your mind. Are you all right? Lu Ming pretended to be surprised. Was it you just now? King Kong looked at Lu Ming with incomparable resentment. I'm sorry, it was an accident. Speaking of which, did I activate the soul-splitting array because you were cursing me in your heart just now? Lu Ming looked at King Kong with a faint smile. King Kong wailed in his heart. He finally knew the power of the soul-splitting array. This time he was extremely honest and shouted, Boss, I'm innocent. From now on, I'll be loyal to you. Well, that's more like it. Lu Ming patted King Kong's huge head. King Kong's combat strength was not bad. It would be helpful to him if he kept it. Let's go and have a look elsewhere. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming took the lead and stepped out. But they had not taken a few steps when suddenly, an invisible wave came from the depths of the palace. At the same time, the entire palace complex trembled slightly. Bus. Then, the wave became more and more intense, and the nearby palace complex trembled more and more violently. It's inside. Let's go. Lu Ming and King Kong rushed towards the depths of the palace. Suddenly, Lu Ming saw a palace in the distance emitting endless golden light. Vast mind power formed a mind storm that swept in all directions. A boundless majestic aura filled the air. In the next moment, a figure appeared from the palace and sat cross-legged on top of the palace. The boundless golden light was being emitted from that figure. Qi Shui. Seeing this figure, Lu Ming was shocked. This figure was by Qi Shui. That golden light is so terrifying. This is the golden spiritual fire, the spiritual fire of an Emperor Realm expert. Lu Ming was extremely shocked. He had received Liao Cang's inheritance and could tell that the spiritual fire emitted from Bai Qi Shui was the spiritual fire of a level 9 inscription master, an Emperor Realm expert. Bai Qi Shui had received the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. While Lu Ming was shocked, he was also happy for Bai Qi Shui. He did not expect Bai Qi Shui to have such an opportunity to receive the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. Bus. Golden light filled the air and the palace shook. Inscriptions appeared on the countless palaces, but they collapsed one by one and disappeared without a trace. It seemed that Bai Qi Shui had received the inheritance and it affected the arrays. A disciple of the Talisman Puppet sect can forget about receiving the inheritance? With a furious roar, a blood-red sword light slashed towards Bai Qi Shui. Lu Ming was shocked and flew into the air. Previously, there were arrays everywhere in the palace and it was difficult to fly. Now that the arrays had collapsed, it was no longer a problem. However, although Lu Ming was fast, it was too late. However, when the blood-red sword light was about to hit Bai Qi Shui, a sword light shot out from Bai Qi Shui's body and blocked the blood-red sword light. Blood Sword 7, you're courting death. Lu Ming was furious. He stepped into the air and instantly approached Bai Qi Shui. His palm was like a heavenly blade as it slashed towards a blood-robed youth. The one who had attacked was the genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect, Blood Sword 7. Lu Ming. Blood Sword 7's eyes narrowed when he saw Lu Ming. He waved his blood-red sword and the smell of blood filled the air. The blood-red sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. Bam! The blood-red light collapsed and Lu Ming's body trembled. He felt his arm go numb. Blood Sword 7's battle strength was above the little demon lord's. Whoosh! At this moment, figures flashed in the surrounding palaces. There were disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect and the other three forces. Disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect, gather. Chapter 930. Take down the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. A youth in a crimson robe shouted. It was Blood Sword 9. King Kong, go and help. Lu Ming shouted. All right, Blood Sword 9, I'm your opponent. King Kong roared and pounced on Blood Sword 9, engaging in a fierce battle with him. King Kong, are you crazy? Our opponent is Lu Ming. Blood Sword 9 roared. How dare you fight with my boss? I'll cripple you. King Kong roared as he clawed at Blood Sword 9 with his claws. No matter how hard Blood Sword 9 tried, he couldn't break through. Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9 and the others were shocked. The prodigy of the demon clan, King Kong, actually addressed Lu Ming as boss and submitted to him. What was happening? Go to hell. Lu Ming turned into 9 dragons and clawed at Blood Sword 7. Blood Sword 7's body glowed with a crimson golden light and slashed at Lu Ming. The two fought fiercely, causing explosions. Lu Ming saw Brother Blazing Heaven and another prodigy of the demon race, the green-robed man. King Kong, what's the meaning of this? The youth in a green robe charged at King Kong. What do you mean? Get out of my face. King Kong roared. Swish. At this moment, the mountain river painting flew out of Lu Ming's forehead and wrapped around Blood Sword 7. Blood Sword 7 was startled. Instinctively he felt that this picture scroll was very dangerous. He quickly retreated and at the same time he slashed out beams of sword light, cutting the picture in half. The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and used the 9 dragon sky-stomping steps to push Bloodsword 7 back. Die. Lu Ming surrounded himself with the mountain river diagram, blocking the vital points. He then ignored the defense and launched a violent attack on the 7th Bloodsword. The 7th Bloodsword struck back, but the mountain river diagram did not even budge an inch. Bam! Bloodsword 7 was shocked as he was hit by the 9 dragons. He spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. He didn't dare to stay any longer. His body flashed as he rushed toward Bloodsword 9 and joined up with him. Lu Ming stepped on the void and arrived beside Kong Kim. The two sides were in a standoff. Far off in the distance, Brother Blazing Heaven stood there, not taking any action. He had personally seen Lu Ming kill the little demon monarch and subdue the Vajra. In his eyes, Lu Ming was simply unfathomable. Vajra, you dare to betray the Yao race and help Lu Ming? Do you want to die? The green-robed monster youth coldly shouted. What are you shouting for? I'm alone in the demon race. What's there to be afraid of? Right now I'm relying on Lu Ming. What's wrong with that? King Kong opened his mouth wide and looked at the green-robed youth with disdain. You, the green-robed young man's face turned ashen. You're courting death. Lu Ming suddenly roared. Not far away, a genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect was about to make a move and kill a Talisman Puppet sect disciple that was flying over. A long spear appeared. It instantly traversed the void and killed the genius of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Whoever dares to kill a disciple of the Talisman Puppet sect will die. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the entire area. Lu Ming, you're courting death. Bloodsword 9 shouted. Is that so? Let's see who will die. Lu Ming took a big step forward and charged towards Bloodsword 9. Bloodsword 9 launched an attack, but just like Bloodsword 7, Lu Ming didn't care about defense and launched a fierce attack. Bloodsword 9 spat out mouthfuls of blood and had no choice but to turn around and flee. Bloodsword 7 and Bloodsword 9's faces turned ugly. They didn't dare to fight with Lu Ming. The green-robed monster youth was also fearful when he saw this and distanced himself from Lu Ming. If any of you want to die, I don't mind sending you on your way. Lu Ming's cold gaze swept across the entire area. The geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley all stayed far away. They were extremely fearful and none of them dared to stop the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect. Soon, the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect gathered around Lu Ming. Compared to before, there were 5 or 6 people less. Obviously, these people had already fallen. Lu Ming's gaze turned sinister as he pondered on how to kill all the geniuses of the 3 forces. But at this moment, Bai Chi Snow's inheritance seemed to have reached a critical moment. The energy waves emitted from her body became stronger and stronger. The golden light spread far and wide. From afar, one could see that the surroundings of the palaces were filled with arrays. At this moment, those arrays glowed and collapsed one by one. This place had become an ordinary place, and the great formation had disappeared. Everyone in the surroundings looked on from afar. The people of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley were indignant and wanted to destroy it. However, with Lu Ming and King Kong watching, they didn't dare to do anything. After a while, the energy waves emitted from Bai Chi Snow's body weakened and the golden light slowly retracted. When the golden light completely retracted, Bai Chi Snow opened her eyes. Everyone's gaze fell on Bai Chi Snow. Bai Chi Snow didn't seem to know anything and was a little confused. She looked around and seemed to have thought of something as she hurriedly stood up. Chi Shui, how is it? Lu Ming moved and came to Bai Chi Snow's side. Fortunately, I seem to have obtained the inheritance of a senior. Bai Chi Snow blinked her eyes and seemed to be a little confused. This made Lu Ming speechless. Bai Chi Snow had obtained the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master. How could she not know? There seems to be a lot of things in my head and I need to digest them. Bai Chi Snow said again. Lu Ming nodded. That was indeed the case. Just like when he obtained Liao Tsang's inheritance, it was impossible to increase his battle strength immediately. He needed time to comprehend it and it would be very helpful for his future cultivation. The other disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect looked at Bai Chi Snow with envy. After obtaining the inheritance of a level 9 inscription master, Bai Chi Snow was destined to rise in the future. As for the geniuses of the other 3 forces, their eyes flashed with killing intent. Bai Chi Snow had obtained the inheritance of a sovereign and this wasn't a good thing for the other 3 forces. In the future she would rise and would be on the opposite side of the other three forces. Rumble. At this moment, a violent explosion could be heard from afar. The sound came from outside the palace. The earth rumbled as if 10,000 horses were galloping. Even the void started to shake violently. Following this, several powerful auras soared into the sky like smoke signals. What's going on? Everyone at the scene was shocked. Swoosh, swoosh. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. It was the people of the Emperor's Sky Divine Palace outside the array. Now that the array had collapsed, they naturally couldn't stop them. Three-eyed Divine Tribe, it's the Three-eyed Divine Tribe. After those people flew over, their faces were filled with panic. The other people's faces also changed drastically. Soon after, they saw tall and sturdy Three-eyed Divine Tribe members on the ground and in the void. They were riding on huge demonic beasts and were rushing over. Those demonic beasts were similar to the Three-eyed Divine Tribe members. They were covered in scales and had 2 long horns. They were like huge water buffaloes. They were surrounded by the Three-eyed Divine Tribe members. These Three-eyed Divine Tribe members have been eyeing this ruin for a long time. They probably wanted to kill us outside, and once the array collapsed they would rush out. Chapter 931. Some of their auras were extremely dense and gave off immense pressure. Not only were there those at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, but there were even stronger ones. Rumble. The mounts of the Three-eyed God race stepped on the void, causing the void to tremble with shocking killing intent. Human brats, how dare you target my race? Today you will be buried here. A thunderous voice came from the Three-eyed God race, causing everyone's eardrums to buzz. What should we do? Someone was terrified. There were too many Three-eyed God race and there were too many experts. It was impossible for them to charge out. Were they going to die here today? Brother Blazing Heaven, Blood Sword 7, Blood Sword 9, and the prodigies of the demon race all had ugly expressions. It can't be right? Am I going to die here today? King Kong looked into the distance with fear in his eyes. Don't resist. At this moment Lu Ming looked at Bai Qi Shui and the rest. Ah. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect looked at Lu Ming in a daze. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the mountain and river diagram flew towards the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. Remember, don't resist. After saying that, the mountain and river diagram shone and swept the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect into the mountain and river diagram. This is a spatial treasure? King Kong's eyes almost popped out. The others also looked at Lu Ming with greedy looks. Kill. Leave no one alive. The most majestic Three-eyed God race waved his hand, and instantly, a group of Three-eyed God race rode their buffalo-like mounts and charged towards Lu Ming and the rest. There were about 200 of them, and each of them gave off a terrifying aura. The pressure on their bodies was like a tidal wave that surged towards them. Every one of them was an expert at the Spirit Embryo Realm and above. What should we do? What should we do? A prodigy of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace shouted in fear. There was no way to retreat because there were experts of the Three-eyed God race in all directions. They were already surrounded, and wherever they retreated there would be experts. Kill? In an instant there were already experts charging over. Kill? Brother Blazing Heaven and the rest roared. In such a situation they could only fight. Human brat, die. A tall and sturdy Three-eyed God race member wielding a battle axe charged towards Lu Ming on his mount, chopping down on Lu Ming's head. This was a Three-eyed God at the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Bang! Lu Ming took a step forward. His fist was like a divine mountain as it crushed down on the Three-eyed Divine race. This Three-eyed Divine race member was directly punched through by Lu Ming, dying on the spot. Devouring power burst out and devoured the blood essence of the Three-eyed Divine being. You're courting death. The other Three-eyed Divine tribe member saw this and pulled on his mount. Stepping into the void, he charged towards Lu Ming. There were a total of 3 people and they were all at the 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. A long spear, and an iron hammer, these 3 weapons bombarded Lu Ming. Boss, let me help you. Vajra roared and rushed towards a Three-eyed Divine race member wielding a long spear. Grabbing out with his claws, he dispersed the opponent's attack. The expression of the Three-eyed Divine race member with a long spear changed drastically and a beam of light shot out from his third eye. His mount also roared and its 2 sharp horns charged towards Vajra. These Three-eyed Divine race members were not on the same level as the ones Lu Ming had met before. These Three-eyed Divine race members were even stronger and were obviously the elites of the Three-eyed Divine race. Together with their mounts, their abilities were even stronger. At the same time, the other two three-eyed divine race members also charged towards Vajra. Lu Ming took a step forward and the power of 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps burst forth. The power of Peng Bai bombarded the two three-eyed divine race members. The two three-eyed divine race members and their mounts trembled violently as they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Die. Lu Ming burst forth with the power of 5 dragons and his strength increased greatly. His figure flashed as he rushed towards the other party. Bang! Bang! 2 consecutive palms landed on the bodies of the two three-eyed divine race members and split them into pieces. Even their mounts were killed by Lu Ming. On the other side, the three-eyed divine race member with a long spear had also been killed by Vajra. The commotion on their side attracted the attention of the other three-eyed divine race members. A few extremely tall and sturdy three-eyed divine race members looked coldly at Lu Ming and Vajra. Courting death. A cold voice was spat out as their mounts stepped into the air. The three-eyed divine race members commanded their mounts to charge towards Lu Ming and Vajra. Then let's kill to our heart's content. Lu Ming's gaze was cold as he transformed into 9 dragons and rushed towards the three-eyed divine race members with Vajra. Brr. The 9 dragons opened their mouths and gave a long roar as a terrifying devouring power burst forth. Some of the three-eyed divine race members who were at the first and second level of spirit embryo realm couldn't control their bodies at all. They felt the blood essence and power in their bodies being devoured by the 9 dragons. They screamed in fear as they looked at their own life force flowing away. Even those three-eyed divine race members who were at the 3rd level of spirit embryo realm and above were also incomparably terrified. They were enveloped by the devouring power and their auras fluctuated. The blood essence in their bodies seemed to want to break out of their bodies. Boom, 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 boom. What welcomed them next was Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps. The terrifying power bombarded their bodies and those who were at the 5th level of spirit embryo realm and below exploded as their blood essence and power were devoured by the 9 dragons. Those who were at the 5th level of spirit embryo realm and above also vomited large mouthfuls of blood as they retreated in a hurry. Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven-trampling steps combined with the devouring power was simply a large area-killing weapon. Kill, let's work together and kill him. Some of the three-eyed divine race members who were at the 6th and 7th level of spirit embryo realm roared in anger as they charged towards Lu Ming. Vajra. Enter the mountain river diagram. The mountain river diagram fluttered and coiled around Vajra. Vajra's expression changed and he relaxed his body and mind. Instantly, a force pulled Vajra into the mountain river diagram. Immediately after, the mountain river diagram surrounded the 9 dragons. Lu Ming completely ignored his defense and rushed towards the three-eyed divine race members. The 9 dragon claws clawed out continuously. 2 three-eyed divine race members who were at the 6th level of spirit embryo realm were killed consecutively. Bang! Bang! In all directions the attacks of the three-eyed divine race landed on the mountain river diagram. The mountain river diagram trembled slightly but was blocked. Kill? Lu Ming gave a loud shout and rushed towards a three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. With a claw, he pierced through the heart of this three-eyed divine race member. The devouring power continued to burst forth and devoured this three-eyed divine race member. Boom! A pitch-black iron hammer smashed heavily on the mountain river diagram, causing the mountain river diagram to tremble. Another three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm held onto an iron hammer and looked at Lu Ming in astonishment. Concept of earth, die. A look of greed appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. This three-eyed divine race member who was at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm cultivated the concept of earth. Lu Ming had to kill him. Lu Ming pounced towards the other party and the other party retreated in fear. Die. Human die. A long spear and a battle knife slashed heavily on the mountain river diagram, causing it to tremble violently. Waves of power passed through the mountain river diagram and landed on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly and neutralized this wave of power. It seems that the defense of the mountain and river diagram changes according to my cultivation. My current cultivation is still low, and the defensive ability of the mountain and river diagram is not very high. If an opponent is much stronger than me, I won't be able to withstand it. Chapter 932. The 2 three-eyed gods were only at the 8th level of spirit embryo realm, but they were able to penetrate the mountain river diagram and hit Lu Ming. Of course, they were weakened by the mountain river diagram and couldn't hurt Lu Ming. However, if they were stronger, such as those at the 9th level of spirit embryo realm, they could hurt Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body trembled slightly. He ignored the attacks of the two three-eyed gods at the 8th level of Spirit Embryo Realm and pounced on the one at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. 9 dragon claws were executing the hell-suppressing celestial skill and attacking the other party. Bam! The other party blocked with a huge hammer, but it was useless. The hammer was sent flying by Lu Ming. The dragon claws clawed the other party's body, and the other party roared and flew 100 meters away. He spat out blood, but he didn't die. The defense of the realm of earth is strong, but you still have to die. The dragon claw stepped on the air, and with a twist of his body, he appeared in front of the other party and clawed again. Puchi. This claw penetrated the other party and killed him. His blood essence and energy were all devoured by Lu Ming. While Lu Ming was on a killing spree, screams came from other directions. The geniuses of Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Demon Valley were killed one by one. Some of them were famous geniuses in the outside world and some were even god-level geniuses. But now they were killed mercilessly. Lu Ming saw that Blood Sword 9 with his blood-colored sword light was filled with blood aura. He killed a three-eyed god at the 7th level of the Spirit Embryo Realm, but his head was chopped off by a strong practitioner at the 8th level. This genius, who was ranked 63rd on the list of top 1,000 geniuses, had fallen. Go retreat. Go to those palaces. Brother Blazing Heaven and Blood Sword 7 roared and rushed out of the encirclement towards the palaces. There were many wonderful things in those palaces that might be able to stop the three-eyed gods. Swoosh. At this moment, a battle saber slashed through the air and landed on the mountain and river diagram. The mountain and river diagram shook violently, and a powerful force surged into the 9 dragons' bodies. It even cut open the 9 dragons' scales, leaving a wound. 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming was shocked. One of them was at least 6 meters tall and was riding a massive mount. He held a warblade in his hand and looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. Kill. He let out a roar as his saber tore through the void and slashed at Lu Ming again. Boom. The mountain and river diagram shook violently as a terrifying saber chi pierced through the mountain and river diagram and landed on the 9 dragons' bodies. Another wound appeared. The 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm is too strong. Even the mountain river diagram can't block it. Let's retreat first. Lu Ming's mind raced. In Spirit Embryo Realm, the difference between every single level was extremely huge. Only a rare person like him who cultivated god-level techniques, had 2 god-level bloodlines and had extremely powerful bloodline martial techniques would be able to kill an opponent who was 5 levels above him. However, facing someone at the 8th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, Lu Ming was already powerless. On the other hand, someone at the 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm could easily kill him. Go. Lu Ming's body moved and rushed towards the palaces. The palace he chose was the one where he had obtained the mountain and river diagram. The puppets in that palace would adjust their strength according to their cultivation. Lu Ming believed that the three-eyed god race wouldn't be able to rush in. Stop him. The strong practitioners of the 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm let out furious roars. A few of the three-eyed god race at the 8th level of Spirit Embryo Realm continuously attacked Lu Ming, but they were all blocked by the mountain and river diagram. Scram. Lu Ming charged forward with all his might and broke through the obstructions. He rushed into the palace and transformed into his human form before rushing forward. In front of him, 2 puppets condensed and swept their cold gazes at Lu Ming before moving aside. They seemed to have recognized Lu Ming and didn't stop him. Lu Ming was elated. He dashed over directly. At the back, the rest of the three-eyed divine clan members rushed over. However, the puppet moved. It transformed into a terrifying attack and charged toward the few three-eyed divine clan members. Lu Ming heard a scream. It seemed that the three-eyed divine clan members had been killed. As expected, the puppets here would adjust their strength according to the cultivation of the person who entered. Lu Ming walked into the secret room below and just like the previous time, puppets appeared. However, they all swept their gazes at Lu Ming and moved aside. Lu Ming had no obstructions and came to the passage. The puppets on both sides of the passage only took a glance at Lu Ming before standing there motionlessly. Lu Ming had no obstructions and came to the secret room where he had obtained the mountain and river diagram. At this moment, Lu Ming let out a long sigh of relief. This place should be safe. Let's refine the energy first. Immediately, he sat down cross-legged and started refining. This time, he had swallowed quite a bit of energy and was refining it continuously. Concept of Earth has broken through and reached the peak of the 2nd level. Lu Ming's heart stirred. At the same time, the energy was being refined continuously and turned into vital essence which surged into the spirit embryo. In his dantian, the spirit embryo was pulsing as if it was nurturing a life. Following the influx of vital essence and continuous refinement, the size of the spirit embryo was also slowly shrinking. A day later, the aura on Lu Ming's body rose greatly. Third level of spirit embryo. After refining the energy, Lu Ming's cultivation reached the third level of spirit embryo realm. The energy I have swallowed this time is just enough for me to break through to the third level of spirit embryo realm. Among them, there are 2 three-eyed god race at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm and 5 or 6 at the 6th level of spirit embryo realm. Only those at the 5th level of spirit embryo realm and below are enough for me to break through to the third level of spirit embryo realm. The energy I need is really a lot. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. If he had swallowed one less three-eyed god race at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm, he wouldn't have been able to break through. Among the 4 kinds of conceptions, the concept of earth has reached the peak of the 2nd level while the concept of thunder and concept of wind are still at the peak of the 2nd level. However, the concept of wind has broken through and reached the small success of the 2nd level. Among the three-eyed god race that I killed just now, most of them cultivated the concept of wind. However, the bloodline of the 9 dragons hasn't leveled up. The amount of blood essence it needs now is even more terrifying. I shall first enter the mountain and river diagram to take a look at Qi Shui and the rest. After that, I shall stabilize my foundation and condense my vital essence and conceptions before breaking out of the encirclement. His cultivation had increased by 1 level to the 3rd level of spirit embryo realm. In addition to the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming was confident that he could break out of the encirclement and leave. With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. The moment he entered the mountain and river diagram, he discovered Bai Qi, Qi Shui and the rest of the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect flying around the vast land. After a long time, someone finally discovered Lu Ming and gathered towards him. Zongzi. Lu Ming Zongzi. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect greeted Lu Ming. Their gazes towards Lu Ming were filled with envy, astonishment and gratitude. A treasure like the mountain and river diagram made them envious. However, Lu Ming had saved them time and time again. They were extremely grateful towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, this is a paradise treasure, right? I didn't expect there to be such a treasure in this world. Bai Qi Shui also flew over and looked at Lu Ming with astonishment in her beautiful eyes. This was simply a world of its own. Who wouldn't be astonished? Boss, you are really too awesome. You even have such a treasure. Vajra stepped on the void and rushed over. He looked at Lu Ming with a face of admiration. Chapter 933. You guys should cultivate here during this period. We're currently being surrounded by the three-eyed tribe. I'll hide in a palace and break out after some time. Lu Ming said. Zongzi, be careful. A disciple of the Talisman Puppet sect said worriedly. Don't worry. Lu Ming let out a smile. He then glanced at Bai Qi Shui and said, Qi Shui, let's take a walk. Saying this, he walked to the side. Bai Qi Shui followed behind him. The others were smart enough not to disturb them and found a place to cultivate. Qi Shui, you must have obtained the succession of the martial emperor, right? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Unfortunately, there are still many things that I can't see. My cultivation is still too low. Bai Qi Shui said. Lu Ming nodded his head. This was normal. For example, he had obtained Lian Cang's succession, but Lian Cang had still placed a seal on him. One should not bite off more than they could chew on the path of cultivation. One had to take one step at a time to reach the peak. If one were to see too many things at once, they would be confused and lose their sense of direction. Qi Shui, how many luck points have you obtained? Lu Ming was curious. How many luck points would one obtain after obtaining the succession of a martial emperor? 50,000. Bai Qi Shui blinked her eyes and said. Although she was trying her best to hold it in, her eyes were still filled with excitement. 50,000? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He did not feel that Bai Qi Shui had obtained too much, but he felt that it was too little. When he obtained the mountain and river diagram, he had obtained a total of 100,000 luck points. In that case, the value of the mountain and river diagram was more valuable than the succession of a martial emperor? Lu Ming, how many luck points have you obtained? Bai Qi Shui glanced at Lu Ming curiously. She was eager to try and surpass Lu Ming. A few 100,000. Lu Ming said casually. A few 100,000? Bai Qi Shui was tongue-tied and lowered her head in disappointment. Lu Ming was secretly amused. This little girl wanted to compete with him. All right, you've obtained the sovereign's inheritance. Cultivate well. I'm leaving. After saying that, Lu Ming's figure disappeared. After returning to the secret room and putting away the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and quietly cultivated to stabilize his foundation. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. At this moment Lu Ming prepared to go out. Now that his cultivation had risen to the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm, he was confident that with the protection of the mountain and river diagram, even strong practitioners at the 9th level of Spirit Embryo Realm wouldn't be able to hurt him. Lu Ming left the palace and flew to the sky above one of the palaces to look outside. Outside it was completely empty. Not a single member of the three-eyed divine race could be seen. The three-eyed divine race had actually all left. Lu Ming guessed that there were many people participating in the War of Providence. When the three-eyed god race saw that they could not find them, they left to chase after the others. I wonder if Brother Blazing Heaven, 7th Blood Sword, and the others were killed or if they escaped. Lu Ming thought for a moment before rising into the sky and flying into the distance. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, he did not encounter any three-eyed divine race. At this moment Lu Ming found a secret place and entered the mountain and river diagram. He informed the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect that they were out of danger and asked them if they wanted to go out. Everyone naturally wanted to go out. The purpose of participating in the War of Providence was to find opportunities. If they were to hide here, they might as well not participate in the War of Providence. Lu Ming moved everyone out of the mountain and river diagram. How about this? During this period of time, we will move together to find opportunities and gather more disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. How about that? Lu Ming suggested. Lu Ming Zongzi will move with us? That's great. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect were overjoyed. They had already witnessed how strong Lu Ming was. With Lu Ming around, their chances of finding opportunities would be higher, and their chances of encountering danger would be lower. Lu Ming nodded his head. It was not because he was suddenly being kind. There were 2 reasons for him to do so. Firstly, he wanted to buy their support. These young geniuses would surely become the pillars of the Talisman Puppet sect in the future. It was extremely important for him to gain their support in order to control the Talisman Puppet sect in the future. If he were to give them a favor now, they would surely be loyal to him in the future. Secondly, the more providence the Talisman Puppet sect obtained, the better it would be for the Talisman Puppet sect. It would be beneficial for Lu Ming too, thus he was more than happy to do so. Alright, we'll look for opportunities while you guys contact the nearby disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. Lu Ming said. In this world, the transmission distance of sound transmission jade talismans was greatly restricted. The transmission distance was less than 1/10 of the outside world or even less than 1%. Even a high-grade sound transmission jade talisman could only reach people within 100,000 li radius. With a plan in place, the group began to move. Next, Lu Ming led the group to explore some mysterious places while contacting the other Talisman Puppet sect members. As time passed, more and more Talisman Puppet sect disciples gathered. Everyone was increasingly impressed and grateful towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's strength was also acknowledged by everyone. During this period they explored several mysterious places and obtained many opportunities. There were also some dangers, such as being hunted by the three-eyed divine tribe. However, under Lu Ming's lead they passed through all of them. Lu Ming naturally won the hearts of the people. As time passed, Lu Ming's understanding of this world increased. During this period he had captured some three-eyed divine tribe members and learned a lot of information from them. This world was extremely vast. At the center of this world, the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city was located there. The three-eyed divine tribe's royal city contained the majority of the three-eyed divine tribe's elite forces. With the royal city as the center, it was divided into 4 large regions. Lu Ming and the rest had been moving around in the eastern region. Presumably there were more prodigies in the other 3 regions. Time passed quickly and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Half a year had passed since the start of the Battle of Providence. On the peak of a mountain Lu Ming sat cross-legged. Light flashed on his body and the faint roar of a dragon could be heard. Suddenly the aura on Lu Ming's body skyrocketed. However, in the next moment his aura was concealed again. Lu Ming opened his eyes. 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming smiled slightly. In these few months, the number of three-eyed divine tribe members that he had killed was not many. Most of them were from his own bitter cultivation and his improvement was great. 4 types of concepts had all entered the initial stage of 3rd level. Today his cultivation had also successfully broken through to the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. His foundation was incomparably stable. It was extremely difficult to break through to the Spirit Embryo Realm. In the outside world, Even prodigies would find it difficult to break through to the next level without a few years. For some ordinary spirit embryo realm practitioners, it was normal to spend decades or even centuries to break through to the next level. Lu Ming had relied on his own bitter cultivation to be able to break through to the next level within 3 months. This was already considered very fast. This was also because the cultivation environment here was good. In addition, he had devoured some three-eyed divine tribe members during this period. Other people might not have such a speed. Furthermore, the higher one went, the slower one's cultivation would be. Not far away, there were some talisman puppet sect disciples cultivating and some patrolling the surroundings. Chapter 934. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard from afar. A figure was rushing towards them. Soon the figure stopped not far away. It was Ji Mai, ranked 107th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Zongzi. Ji Mai flew over when he saw that Lu Ming had finished his cultivation. Ji Mai had also joined Lu Ming's team during this period of time. At this moment, Ji Mai looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. In fact, when Ji Mai first entered the observatory, his mental fire had already broken through to level 7. During this period of time, he had made further progress and initially thought that he had finally surpassed Lu Ming. However, during this period of time, he discovered that the gap between him and Lu Ming had widened. Lu Ming's combat ability was simply unfathomable. After hearing from the other disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect that Lu Ming could even kill the Little Demon Lord and subdue the King Kong of the demon race, who was not weaker than the Little Demon Lord, they immediately dispelled the thought of competing with Lu Ming and were full of admiration for him. Ji Mai, did you find anything? Lu Ming smiled faintly, stood up and asked. Zongzi, I did find something. Ji Mai said with a grave expression. What is it? Lu Ming asked. There might be a talisman puppet sect genius more than 300,000 miles away from here, but he's trapped in a place. Ji Mai said. Ji Mai immediately explained in detail. It turned out that he had been investigating the situation within a radius of several 100,000 miles when he heard the sounds of a great battle outside a valley. He looked from afar and saw that inscriptions were shining brightly in the valley. Flames were soaring into the sky. Someone was fighting. However, the aura was extremely powerful and far stronger than Ji Mai's. Ji Mai knew very well that there was definitely a genius who was far stronger than him. He would definitely die if he attacked, so he hurried back to report to Lu Ming. The person's aura was far stronger than Ji Mai's. He was definitely in the top 100 of the list of top 1,000 talents or even higher. The trapped talisman puppet sect disciple was definitely not to be underestimated. If Lu Ming's guess was right, there should be a talisman puppet sect disciple in the valley who had set up a formation to fend off attacks. Ji Mai, lead the way. Let's go take a look. Lu Ming said. As for the talisman puppet sect disciple, there was no need to worry because there were already many large formations set up nearby. The talisman puppet sect disciples' advantage was that they could set up a powerful formation as long as they had time to defend themselves. Ji Mai nodded and flew into the distance with Lu Ming. The two of them flew at breakneck speed and before long, they arrived at the place Ji Mai had mentioned. Boom! A purple flame soared into the sky and filled half of the sky. At the same time, an inscription array shone and formed a light shield to resist the flame attack. Pure purple heavenly fire. They're from the Wang clan. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes. He was all too familiar with the extreme purple heavenly fire. Sooner or later we'll break through your formation, and you won't be able to escape. A cold and gloomy voice sounded. Ji Mai's expression changed. When Yuezhang was one of the 13 Zongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet sect. He was ranked 52nd on the list of top 1,000 talents, only one place lower than Li Tian. But now when Yuezhang was in trouble. Wang Qin, I didn't offend you, but you want to kill me? A voice came from the valley. Didn't you hear what the Wang clan's supreme martial artist said before entering the Battle of Providence? If you see anyone from the Talisman Puppet sect, kill them without mercy. The Talisman Puppet sect is really daring. That Lu Ming is wanted by Martial Emperor De and you dare to accept him. You are courting death. The voice from before sounded. Ha, what a joke. I heard that the Wang family's supreme martial artist was almost beaten to death by Lu Ming. A dignified supreme martial artist almost died in the hands of a young man. No wonder he flew into a rage out of humiliation and vented his anger on our Talisman Puppet sect. When Yuezhang's voice came from the valley. You're courting death. Along with his angry roar, the pure purple heavenly fire shone brightly. The light shield formed by the formation trembled and was on the verge of collapse. Wang Qin, who's ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents? Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly. Wang Qin was ranked 43rd on the list of top 1,000 talents. No wonder when Yue Zhang was trapped here. Let's go. Lu Ming strode out and walked toward the valley. He was close to the valley in a few breaths. From afar, he could see a dozen figures standing in the air above the valley. There were men and women, and at the forefront was a young man in a purple robe. He was covered in flames and constantly attacked the valley below. Most likely this person was Wang Qin. There were 3 young people in the valley, 2 men and 1 woman. One of them looked elegant. He stood in front and waved his hands. Purple spiritual fire danced and formed a formation to fight against Wang Qin. Behind him, a man and a woman sat cross-legged. They looked pale and were obviously injured. Meng Jia. Lu Ming recognized the woman. She was Meng Jia. As for the young man, Lu Ming also remembered him. He was Gong Fei, one of the 13 Zongzi candidates from the Talisman Puppet sect and ranked 77th on the list of top 1,000 talents. The one fighting with Wang Qin was undoubtedly Wen Yuezhang. Who's there? As Lu Ming and Ji Mai approached, those people heard the noise and turned to look at Lu Ming and Ji Mai. It's him. Lu Ming. They exclaimed when they saw Lu Ming. At the same time, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Lu Ming skipped the rest of the people and focused on 2 of them. One was a man and the other was a woman. The woman was Wang Haoxian. She still wore a ring around her neck. She looked haggard and her aura was weak. After so long she was still at the 6th level of the spiritual sea realm. Logically speaking, with Wang Haoxian's talent, she should have reached the 9th level of the spiritual sea realm or even higher. Obviously, she was being controlled and couldn't improve her cultivation. When she saw Lu Ming, her eyes shone with amazing splendor. The other young man was wearing a starry robe. He was Xing Xing. Back then, after the battle between the Holy Star and Mulan on their wedding day, the Holy Star had disappeared. He didn't expect to see it here. Lu Ming, it's you? Xing Xing squeezed out a few words. His voice was cold, and the murderous intent in his eyes was extremely strong. His grandfather, Shengguan Zhongyuan, had been smashed to death by Lu Ming using the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron during the battle in Nine-Dragon City. He was a spiritual god, but he had died just like that. After Shengguan Zhongyuan died, Shengguan Wuchen, Shengguan Wuling, and Xing Xing's status in the Shengguan clan plummeted. If he hadn't awakened the divine bloodline, he would have been in an even worse state. Therefore, new and old grudges were added together. It was easy to imagine how much he hated Lu Ming. Lu Ming, Jimai, what are you doing here? Hurry up and leave. In the valley, Wen Yuezhang shouted when he saw Lu Ming and Jimai. Chapter 935. Haha, we've searched high and low for you only to find you by chance. Lu Ming, you actually delivered yourself to our doorstep. That's great, we don't have to look for you. Wang Qin stopped and laughed maniacally. Stop them. Don't let them escape. Xing Xing yelled and rushed toward Lu Ming and Ji Mai with a few other youths. Ji Mai's eyes were grave, but when he saw Lu Ming's calm face, he forced himself not to say anything. In the next moment, the youths, including Xing Xing, surrounded Lu Ming. Up ahead, Wang Haoxian revealed a worried expression. Lu Ming, at least you know your place. You know you can't escape, so you didn't run. However, even if you stay and beg for mercy today, you'll still die. Xing Xing's eyes flashed with murderous intent. At the same time he looked confident. If not for his fear of Ji Mai, he would have already attacked. Idiot. Lu Ming glanced at Xing Xing indifferently. Xing Xing's cultivation was clear in his eyes. He was at the peak of the 1st level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Xing Xing's cultivation had skyrocketed to such a level. He must have had a great opportunity. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to reach such a level. Xing Xing was ranked at the bottom of the list of top 1,000 talents back then, but now he had reached such a level. No wonder he was so confident. With such a cultivation he could reach the top 200. What did you say? Bastard, what did you say? The sacred star was enraged by Lu Ming's contemptuous words. Now that his cultivation had improved greatly, he was confident that he could easily suppress Lu Ming. A loser like you thinks you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have a little bit of cultivation. If you're not an idiot, then what are you? Lu Ming glanced at the sacred star before shifting his gaze to the front. Wang Qin grabbed Wang Haoxian's shoulder and walked towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I have to take my hat off to you. Even the genius of the Wang family fell for your charms. She actually disregarded her feud and got so close to you. She's really a slut, a slut. Today I'm going to kill you personally in front of this slut and make her feel despair. Wang Qin stared coldly at Wang Haoxian. You better let her go. Otherwise you'll die a horrible death. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Haha, if your heart hurts, then I'll make it hurt even more. Bah. As he spoke, Wang Qin slapped Wang Haoxian's face. A handprint immediately appeared on Wang Haoxian's face, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Wang Haoxian glared at Wang Qin. Bitch, if you keep staring, I'll dig out your eyeballs. Wang Qin shouted coldly. Wang Haoxian, don't worry. I will avenge you for this slap. Lu Ming's face calmed down, but his voice was still cold. Young Master Wang Qin, there's no need for you to kill this bastard. Let me do it. I have a grudge against Lu Ming and I will kill him myself today. Xing said. There's no need to kill him. Cripple his cultivation first. I want him to beg for death. Wang Qin said coldly. Good, that's exactly what I want. Xing said as he strode forward. His body was covered in starlight, and 7 stars appeared above his head. The Big Dipper bloodline had 3 golden chakras shining brightly. Xing had successfully awakened the Big Dipper bloodline, which was a level 3 divine grade. No wonder he was so confident. Lu Ming, I know you've awakened a level 2 divine grade bloodline. Now I can completely crush you. Xing's eyes shone with confidence. Back in 9 Dragon City, the bloodline that Lu Ming displayed was a 2nd level divine level bloodline. Nonsense, hurry up and make your move. I'll give you 3 chances. Do your best. This is the last chance I'll give you in this match. You won't have another chance to make your move in the future. Lu Ming scolded coldly. Shameless boasting. Xing's starlight surged and condensed into a starry longsword. It emitted a terrifying aura as it pierced towards Lu Ming's dantian. He wanted to cripple Lu Ming's cultivation in one move. Whoosh! The starry longsword cut through the void like a meteor streaking across the horizon at an extremely fast speed. However, Lu Ming stood still as if he didn't see this sword light. He didn't even activate his protective Zhen Yuan. Acting? Acting in front of me? Let's see how you'll die. Xing's eyes were cold. Zhen Yuan erupted, and the longsword's speed increased. Just as the longsword was about to hit Lu Ming moved and slapped out. The palms slapped the starry longsword and it crumbled like tofu. Xing's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He erupted with all his strength to stop his body from moving forward and retreated instead. After retreating 1,000 meters, Xing's face turned pale as he spurted out a mouthful of blood. He was not injured by Lu Ming. Instead, he had been charging forward courageously. However, he stopped himself and retreated. The reversal was too great. Under the surging vital essence, he had suffered internal injuries. Damn it! Xing roared in his heart. His face turned green and red with shame. Lu Ming hadn't even made a move yet, and he had actually injured himself. This was too shameful. However, Lu Ming's slap was too shocking. It had easily shattered his sword light. That was why he had retreated in shock. What an idiot. First move, 2 moves left. Cherish this opportunity. Lu Ming smiled faintly. His eyes were filled with contempt. Lu Ming. 7 stars heart-slaying sword. Xing roared. His eyes turned red and starlight surged. Above the endless void, the Big Dipper shone brightly. It seemed to have turned into a sword light that fell from the sky and slashed at Lu Ming. This sword was very terrifying. It was several times stronger than the previous sword. On the side, the other youths looked dignified. The battle strength of Xing had made them solemn. In the blink of an eye, the sword light fell on top of Lu Ming's head. However, Lu Ming still slapped out just like the previous time. With a bang, the sword light shattered. It was no different from the previous time. The others were stunned. Lu Ming could actually defeat Xing's attack so easily. This was beyond many people's expectations. Lu Ming's combat ability is not weak, Wang Qin said. However, his tone was still very relaxed. That was because Xing was no different from an ant in his eyes. Even if Lu Ming was stronger than Xing, he was only a slightly stronger ant. He didn't take it to heart. Although Lu Ming's battle strength is not weak, compared to a genius like Wang Qin, there is still a huge gap. It's very dangerous for him to stay here. In the valley, Gong Fei and Meng Jia had finished healing their injuries and looked outside worriedly. Lu Ming seems to be very calm. He knows that Wang Qin is here, but he still dares to stay. He should have some confidence. Let's wait and see. If the situation is not right, we will rush out together. When Yue Zhang said, there is still one more move. Xing, is that all you have? How disappointing. Lu Ming smiled faintly. How is it possible? How is it possible? Chapter 936. Back in the Tianshan domain on the day of his wedding with Mulins, he was defeated by Lu Ming. He swore that one day he would return the favor tenfold and defeat Lu Ming. For this he cultivated extremely hard. With the help of the Shangguan clan he improved rapidly. At that time he also heard that Lu Ming had entered the Nine Dragons city and beaten up his mother. At that time he wanted to find Lu Ming to take revenge. However, later on, there was news of the Shangguan clan's prodigy Shangguan Jinjue being killed. Later on there was news of Lu Ming fighting other prodigies. Lu Ming's battle prowess had obviously surpassed his. This made him jealous and crazy. This made him cultivate even harder. He wanted to awaken his god-level bloodline and suppress Lu Ming. However, before he could awaken his god-level bloodline, Lu Ming suppressed everyone in the exchange. He even defeated the prince of the Middle Continent's ancient imperial dynasty. Later on, it directly led to the Battle of the Nine Dragons City. In that battle, not only was his grandfather Shangguan Zhongyuan killed, but even the Wang clan's supreme martial artist was almost killed by Lu Ming. After that, Lu Ming successfully escaped from the Nine Dragons City. After that battle, Lu Ming's fame reached its peak. However, Xing was not discouraged. He believed that Lu Ming only relied on the divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. He did not know what method he used to control the divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Even without the divine Nine Dragon Cauldron, he could still defeat Lu Ming. Later on, he successfully awakened his third god-level bloodline, which greatly increased his confidence. In the Battle of Destiny, he obtained a great opportunity and his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the first level of Spirit Embryo Realm. He was even more confident. He felt that he could easily crush Lu Ming. However, everything that happened just now, including Lu Ming's two simple moves, completely destroyed his confidence. It turned out that in front of Lu Ming, he was actually so insignificant and vulnerable. No, I must kill him. I must. Xing's eyes were red. He directly used bloodline fusion and transformed into a 7 stars bloodline. He exploded with extreme power and attacked Lu Ming. If he did not kill Lu Ming, he would not be at ease. His martial heart would collapse, and from then on, it would be difficult for his martial cultivation to improve. Vast starlight pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not even look and directly punched at the starlight. Boom. The starlight trembled and a miserable shriek came from within. Then the starlight collapsed and turned back into the holy star. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and fell to the ground like a pile of mud. His face was filled with despair. His aura was weak and there was no fluctuation of vital essence. Lu Ming's punch earlier had already destroyed his spirit embryo and crippled his cultivation. I've said it before. Those 3 moves are your last chance to attack. Lu Ming glanced at the sacred star coldly and did not bother to look at him again. At the side, the other young men retreated in horror. They were also prodigies, but their combat power was not as strong as Xing's, so they were naturally shocked. Wang Chen, it's your turn. Lu Ming looked at Wang Chen. Haha, you think you can fight me after defeating a piece of trash? What a joke. Alright, I'll let you see how big the gap is between us. Wang Chen smiled disdainfully as he slowly stepped forward. With every step he took, his aura would increase by a bit. Boom, boom, boom. The pure purple heavenly fire on Wang Chen's body soared into the sky. It was as if half the sky was dyed purple. The flames roared and Wang Chen's eyes turned cold. 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm? There was a faint sneer at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm was only 1 level higher than Lu Ming. Wang Haoxian, watch how I destroy him. After the Battle of Providence is over, I'll destroy your cultivation and sell you to a brothel. I'll let you know the consequences of betraying the Wang family. Wang Chen's voice traveled far, and Wang Haoxian's face turned pale. Wang Chong said something similar before, but he's dead now. Now, I'll send you down to accompany him. Lu Ming said coldly. You killed Wang Chong? Then you deserve to die. Wang Chen's murderous intent surged. He suddenly took a step forward and threw a punch at Lu Ming. 4 kinds of intents surrounded him. Lu Ming activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill and similarly threw a punch. Boom. When the 2 fists collided, the void vibrated. Wang Chen's body swayed and he staggered backward. However, Lu Ming did not retreat at all. Everyone at the scene suddenly widened their eyes and sucked in a breath of cold air. They were shocked. Lu Ming knocked Wang Chen back with 1 punch. How was that possible? Everyone was surprised when Lu Ming easily crushed the sacred star, but no one thought that Lu Ming could fight with Wang Chen. The difference between the sacred star and Wang Chen was like heaven and earth. There was no comparison at all. Wang Haoxian's eyes lit up. Inside the mountain valley, when Yuezhang, Gong Fei, and Meng Jia's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. Wang Chen, on the other hand, was furious. Damn it! Wang Chen roared furiously, his murderous aura soaring to the sky. He was actually forced to retreat by Lu Ming. This was completely different from what he had imagined. In his expectations, he would be able to beat Lu Ming half to death with one punch. Lu Ming, you must have used all your strength in that punch, right? But let me tell you, I only used half of my strength. Don't think you can stop me? Wang Chen said coldly. Oh, is that so? I only used 20% of my strength just now. Lu Ming said casually. Nonsense. You're boasting shamelessly. Strength isn't something that can be measured with words. Wang Chen's aura became stronger, and his flaming divine fist shook the world. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He was right. He had only used 20% of his strength earlier. However, it was obvious that no one believed him. Let the truth speak for itself. He stepped out and punched again. This time, the power of his punch was even stronger. It collided with Wang Chen's fist again, and Wang Chen was knocked back again. This time, there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. His strength had increased, but Lu Ming's strength had also increased. He couldn't accept it. At the same time, he was a little shocked. Was Lu Ming telling the truth? Did he only use 20% of his strength? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Kill? Wang Chen exuded a cold killing intent. His bloodline appeared and 5 golden chakras shone brightly. He turned into a purple flame. A level 5 divine bloodline. In fact, most of the talents in the top 100 of the list of top 1000 talents had level 5 divine bloodline. Very few of them had reached level 6. The 6 supreme masters of the 6 ancient families only had level 6 divine bloodline. How many supreme masters were there in the entire eastern wilderness? They had accumulated over a long period of time. Swoosh. The flame turned into a sword and slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming released 2 streams of dragon power. His body swelled and scales appeared on his skin. He looked demonic. Bam. Chapter 937. Lu Ming stepped forward and punched the flaming combat sword with his fists like 2 huge hammers. The flaming combat sword vibrated violently and was unable to fight back. The rest of the people from Emperor Heaven Divine Palace looked on in shock. Their eyes widened in disbelief. Wang Chen, who was ranked 43rd on the list of top 1000 talents, was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. No one would have believed it if they had not seen it with their own eyes. Lu Ming was indeed very powerful during the exchange meet between the 3 sects in Nine Dragons City. However, there was still a huge gap between him and the top 100. It had only been a short while and Lu Ming had reached this stage? Everyone in the top 100 was a genius among geniuses. Lu Ming had improved and so had they. It could only be said that Lu Ming's improvement was too terrifying. Boom, boom, boom. Wang Chen's fists continued to hit the flaming combat sword. Finally, with a bang, the flaming combat sword exploded and turned into flames. The flames drifted backward and reformed into Wang Chen's appearance. However, Wang Chen was now in a sorry state. His face was pale and blood kept flowing out of his mouth. His aura was weak and he was obviously seriously injured. He looked at Lu Ming in horror and retreated wildly. Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward. Wang Chen must die today. Nangong Bo, save me. Wang Chen shouted as he retreated. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he continued to attack. Stop. With a cold shout, a young man stepped into the air and pointed his finger. The sound of a phoenix could be heard and a fiery red phoenix flew out, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He punched out and defeated the phoenix. Then he continued to attack Wang Chen. How dare you? Didn't you hear what I said? The young man's eyes were cold and his body emitted light. In a flash, he appeared in front of Wang Chen. His eyes shone with a terrifying light. He also exuded a terrifying aura that was far stronger than Wang Chen's. Nangong Bo, ranked 32nd on the list of top 1000 talents, was a talent from the Nangong clan, one of the 6 ancient families. Nangong Bo is about to attack. In the valley, when Yuezhang had a grave look on his face. The spirit fire between his eyebrows pulsed as he prepared to make a move at any time. Nangong Bo was not someone Wang Chen could compare to. Nangong Bo, if you continue to block me, I'll kill you too. Lu Ming shouted coldly and pressed forward. He kill me too. Let's see how you're going to kill me. Nangong Bo's eyes were ice cold, and the fiery red glow around him intensified. This glow was like fire yet not fire. Within the glow there seemed to be the cry of a phoenix. The dark phoenix spirit seal was the most powerful technique of the Nangong family. Scram. Lu Ming's answer was very simple. He threw out a punch. Nangong Bo struck out with his palm. The cry of a phoenix rang out as a phoenix condensed and flew towards Lu Ming. As its wings flapped, a terrifying killing intent overflowed. This was a phoenix condensed from the Azure Phoenix spirit imprint. It possessed terrifying power. It looked beautiful, but it was full of killing intent. Lu Ming's fist collided with the phoenix silently. However, Lu Ming's expression changed and he couldn't help but retreat a few steps. He felt a tearing pain coming from his fist. Sweeping his gaze, he discovered that the scales on his fist had cracked and fresh blood was seeping out. What a terrifying Azure Phoenix spirit seal. It was silent, yet it could take one's life. Furthermore, Nangong Bo's cultivation was also very terrifying. He had reached the early stage of the 6th level of the spirit embryo realm. His abilities were much stronger than Wang Chen's. Chirp. The cry of a phoenix rang out again as Nangong Bo stepped forward. With a wave of his hand, another phoenix flew out, filled with killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming. He was incomparably powerful. Then I'll kill you too. Lu Ming snorted, and the dragon force in his body burst forth again. 5 dragon forces burst forth, and Lu Ming's strength increased by several times. With a punch, the phoenix collapsed. How can this be? Nangong Bo was shocked. With a wave of his hands, 2 phoenixes rushed out. Lu Ming punched with both fists. The vital essence in his body roared, propelled by 4 different conceptions, and activated the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Boom, boom. Frantically collapsing, Lu Ming took large strides forward. Nangong Bo's expression was ugly. Phoenix cries rang out continuously, and his entire body glowed. His fingers continuously formed seals in the air, and another phoenix flew out. This one seemed to have a life of its own, and its power was even stronger. Lu Ming punched continuously for a few days, and the sky rumbled like thunder. It took him 8 consecutive punches to break the phoenix apart. However, Nangong Bo condensed another phoenix. Nangong Bo was indeed very powerful. Even if they were in the same realm, the higher ranked the geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were, the stronger they were. Otherwise, how could they be ranked at the top? Behind Nangong Bo, Wang Chen was overjoyed. With Nangong Bo around, he wouldn't die. A sinister glint flashed in his eyes as he pondered how to kill Lu Ming. Today he was crushed by Nangong Bo. He had lost face and he had to take revenge. His eyes flashed and he looked at Wang Haoxian. He sneered and flew toward Wang Haoxian. What are you doing? Wang Haoxian was shocked and quickly retreated. Since Lu Ming cares so much about you, I'll kill you in front of him, he. Wang Chen sneered. He wanted to kill Wang Haoxian in front of Lu Ming and distract Lu Ming so that Nangong Bo could kill him. Wang Chen, you're courting death. Lu Ming's eyes were cold and he kept punching. However, Nangong Bo's combat strength was too strong, and he entangled Lu Ming tightly. For a moment he couldn't rush out. You're really anxious. Wang Chen sneered and closed in on Wang Haoxian. Buzz. Suddenly the space lit up, and endless inscriptions shone. A formation appeared, and several ice dragons condensed and pounced toward Wang Chen. Wen Yuezhang. Wang Chen was furious. Flames spread out and he fought with the ice dragons. However, he had just been injured by Lu Ming, and his combat strength had weakened. He couldn't break the formation at all. When Yuezhang, Gong Fei and Meng Jia stepped on the air. With every step they took, inscriptions would spread out under their feet. Inscriptions flashed around the space. Oh no, they're setting up a formation. Stop them. Kill. At the side, the other sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace roared and unleashed their true origin energy, charging toward Wen Yuezhang and the others. However, the formation shone, and ice swords floated in the air, piercing through the void. Several sky prides screamed and were killed by the ice swords. Wen Yuezhang, how dare you kill the sky prides of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? You must die. Nangong Bo roared. You should worry about yourself. 9 dragons appeared above Lu Ming's head, and he transformed into 9 dragons. Nangong Bo's pupils constricted, and a fiery red phoenix appeared above his head. He was also a level 5 divine realm cultivator. The 9 dragons roared, and their devouring power erupted. They stepped on the void and used the 9-dragon sky stomp. The phoenix let out a long cry and also used its killer move to fight against the 9 dragons. The dragon and phoenix fought in the air, making people feel as if they had returned to ancient times, when hundreds of beasts fought for supremacy. In the blink of an eye they had exchanged dozens of blows. Lu Ming became more and more courageous as he fought, and he began to suppress Nangong Bo phoenixes and true dragons were on the same level, but the 9 dragons were stronger than ordinary true dragons. They were known as the 10 strongest beasts in the world, and their combat strength was invincible. Chapter 938. Wuxia. The 9 dragons unleashed their might and tore off one of the phoenix's wings. The phoenix let out a mournful cry, and its aura weakened as it retreated rapidly. The 9 dragons executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after the phoenix, striking out with their 9 claws. Wounds appeared on the phoenix's body as it cried out in pain, and its eyes were filled with fear. With a final cry, the phoenix turned and ran, turning into a beam of light and disappearing into the distance. Nangong Bo had escaped. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Nangong Bo's battle prowess was very strong, and his cultivation was 2 levels higher than his. Even if Lu Ming could win, it would not be that easy to kill Nangong Bo. Run. Nangong Bo's escape caused the people of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace to panic. All of them screamed in horror, wanting to escape. However, the inscriptions in the surroundings shone, and a formation appeared, trapping them. When Yuezhang, Gong Fei, Mengjia, and Ji Mai attacked at the same time, trapping them in that area. Lu Ming, who had transformed into 9 dragons, took a step forward and appeared in front of Wang Qin, looking at him coldly. No, damn it. Wang Qin was terrified and a chill ran down his spine. He had never expected Lu Ming to be so terrifying. Even Nangong Bo was not his match. After being severely injured by Lu Ming, Nangong Bo had fled alone. Lu Ming had not used his full strength in the battle earlier. Whoosh! Lu Ming directly struck out with his claws. Wuxia. Although Wang Qin tried his best to block, one of his arms was still torn off. Wang Qin screamed and his eyes were filled with despair. Lu Ming transformed back into his human form and stepped forward, punching out continuously. Bam! Bam! Wang Qin could not block at all and was severely injured. In the end, Lu Ming's fist landed on his dantian, and his spirit embryo was shattered by Lu Ming, turning him into a cripple. Ah! Wang Qin screamed hysterically. His voice was filled with despair and resentment. Lu Ming, you will die a horrible death. You dared to offend the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and Her Majesty Empress Wu. After the Battle of Providence ends, you will definitely die in Her Majesty Empress Wu's hands. Wang Qin let out a resentful cry. With his cultivation crippled, he knew that he was finished. Even if Lu Ming did not kill him, he would still die in this world. Wang Haoxian, since he wants to kill you, I'll leave him for you to kill. Lu Ming looked at Wang Haoxian. Wang Haoxian stepped through the air and condensed a flaming sword in his hand. He looked at Wang Chen with murderous intent. Wang Haoxian, you bitch. You betrayed the Wang clan and the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace. You will die sooner or later. Wang Chen shouted. Whoosh! The sword light flashed and Wang Chen's head flew far away. Ah no, spare my life, spare my life. I don't want to die. The other geniuses of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace started to beg for mercy. However, when Yuezhang and the others showed no mercy, the array formation appeared, and before long, everyone from the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace was killed. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline to devour the essence blood energy of the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace disciples, turning them all into dried corpses. When Yuezhang and the others looked at Lu Ming's bloodline in amazement, this was the first time they had seen such a domineering bloodline. Lu Ming, thank you very much this time. When Yuezhang stepped forward and cupped his fists. At the side, Gong Fei and the Meng clan bowed in unison. Their eyes were filled with amazement and even shock. Lu Ming's battle prowess was too strong and had completely surpassed them. Now, in terms of battle prowess, Lu Ming could already be ranked in the top few among the 14 Zongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet sect. There were not many who could surpass Lu Ming. The key was that Lu Ming's progress was too fast. If this continued, it would not be long before he surpassed most people and stood shoulder to shoulder with Huan Zhen. You are too polite. We are all from the same sect, and it is only right that we help each other. Moreover, before the War of Providence, the elders also told us to be united. Lu Ming said with a smile. When Yuezhang and the others had a better impression of Lu Ming, Although he was strong, he did not have a trace of arrogance or overbearingness. He gave off a refreshing feeling. They knew that Lu Ming was someone they could befriend. Brother Wen, Brother Gong, there are many senior and junior brothers of the Talisman Puppet sect not far from here. Let's meet there. Lu Ming said. Okay. Wen Yuezhang and the others nodded and flew with Lu Ming to the gathering place of the Talisman Puppet sect disciples. On the way, Lu Ming also found out why Wen Yuezhang and the others were besieged. It was obvious that the Talisman Puppet sect had been targeted in the War of Providence. Not only the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace, but even the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Sky Demon Valley would either kill or capture disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect when they saw them. During this period of time, many disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect had died. When Yuezhang and the others had accidentally bumped into Wang Qin, Nangong Bo and the others. Without saying a word, Wang Qin and the others attacked Wen Yuezhang and the others. If it wasn't for Wen Yuezhang and the others desperately setting up a defensive formation in the valley, and Nangong Bo and Wang Qin wanted to play slowly, they would have been in danger before Lu Ming arrived. This made Lu Ming and Ji Mai grit their teeth. Did the Emperor Heavenly Divine Palace and the other two forces really think that the Talisman Puppet sect was easy to bully? The five of them chatted as they flew. Suddenly their eyes flickered and they came to a stop. The Book of Providence appeared in front of the five of them. Lu Ming looked at the Book of Providence and saw a line of words on it. 9 great forbidden lands, 1 totem pillar appears. Only by gathering all 10 totem pillars can the ancient city of Providence be opened. Totem pillars? Could it be that the final treasure to open the ancient city of Providence in this War of Providence is this so-called totem pillar? Ji Mai's bewildered voice sounded. The five of them put away the Book of Providence and exchanged a glance. It was obvious that the five of them had received the same news. That should be the case. The totem pillars are the key to opening the ancient city of Providence. I didn't expect them to be in the 9 great forbidden lands. Moreover, one of them has already appeared. I wonder who has it. Wen Yuezhang said. Lu Ming also knew about the 9 great forbidden lands. He had learned from the three-eyed divine tribe that there were 9 most dangerous places in this world. These places were called forbidden lands by the three-eyed divine tribe. The 9 great forbidden lands were many times more dangerous than other ruins. This world was very strange. Some of these ruins weren't very dangerous to Lu Ming and the others, but they were fatal to the three-eyed divine tribe. Once a three-eyed divine tribe member stepped into these ruins, they would be killed instantly. These ruins seemed to be specially designed to test Lu Ming and the others who were participating in the War of Providence. This made Lu Ming feel that there was an inexplicable hand behind his back, controlling everything. The 9 great forbidden lands were even more dangerous to the three-eyed divine tribe. They would definitely die if they entered. Lu Ming had learned about it before, but he didn't want to go because he guessed that the 9 great forbidden lands should be the most important test places. There would definitely be amazing treasures inside, but it was often accompanied by danger. Before he had the strength, he would be courting death if he went there. But now it seemed that he had no choice but to go. Chapter 939. The Battle of Providence was generally divided into 2 stages. The first stage took about a year and was mainly a testing process. In this process, one could explore some ruins and treasure lands to obtain opportunities and luck points. One could also obtain luck points through killing. In this process, one could also continuously improve one's strength. The second stage was to open the ancient city of Providence and start the final battle. However, there were some conditions to open the ancient city of Providence. For example, one had to gather some specific treasures before the ancient city of Providence would appear. Only when the ancient city of Providence appeared would the luck points obtained in the Battle of Providence be of great use. Only then could they be truly transformed into Providence and benefit their respective sects, families and friends. If one could not open the ancient city of Providence, the Battle of Providence would end when the time was up. Then, the luck points obtained in the process would be useless, which meant that this Battle of Providence would be considered a failure. Apart from some opportunities obtained during this period, there was no other use. Therefore, the key was to open the ancient city of Providence. Obviously, this time the ancient city of Providence was opened by the totem pillars. In the 9 great forbidden lands, only those who entered the 9 great forbidden lands could obtain the totem pillars. Now, someone had already obtained a totem pillar. Needless to say, obtaining a totem pillar would definitely give one a huge amount of luck points. The few of them looked at each other and Lu Ming said, "The closest forbidden land to us is the Sky Poison Island, one of the 9 great forbidden lands. Let's go to the rendezvous point first and then discuss the next step." Lu Ming suggested. Everyone nodded and continued flying. Not long after, they returned to the gathering place of the Talisman Puppet Sect. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect were naturally overjoyed when they saw Wen Yuezhang and the others. Then Lu Ming gathered the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect to discuss the 9 Great Forbidden Lands. Obviously, everyone had received the same message in their books of providence. Many people shook their heads and chose to withdraw. I'm not going either. The 9 Great Forbidden Lands definitely contain great opportunities, but it's also extremely dangerous. Similarly, all the geniuses will definitely gather in the 9 Great Forbidden Lands. It's the place where the strongest geniuses will compete. Even if I go, I won't be able to obtain any opportunities. Jimai shook his head and sighed. Although his strength was not bad, he was still far from the top geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Then Meng Jia shook his head, indicating that he would not go. In the end, only Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei decided to go. On the other hand, the other Talisman Puppet Sect disciples intended to gather together and find a good place to set up a grand formation and make it their base camp. After that, they would explore the nearby area and obtain fortuitous encounters. Lu Ming nodded. This was the best choice. If one did not have enough strength, going to the 9 Great Forbidden Lands would only be courting death. After the discussion, Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei bade farewell to everyone and flew towards one of the 9 Great Forbidden Lands, the Heavenly Poison Island. Little Gold, speed up. Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei sat cross-legged on the back of a ferocious golden tiger. Lu Ming urged them. Brr. The golden tiger let out an unwilling roar. The golden tiger was none other than King Kong. At this moment he had transformed into a length of more than 20 meters. He stepped on the air and ran at an extremely fast speed. However, he was roaring furiously in his heart. It was fine that Lu Ming treated him as a mount, but he actually allowed others to sit on him. It was fine that he allowed others to ride him, but why did he call him Shaojin? Little Gold was a peerless genius of the demonic beast race with 50% of the bloodline of a divine beast. How could Lu Ming call him Little Gold? King Kong almost vomited blood in anger. His name was so mighty, but he was called Little Gold? When Lu Ming first called him Little Gold, King Kong swore that he would rather die than obey. However, when Lu Ming said, "You want to taste the soul-splitting array again, right?" King Kong could only accept his fate. His heart was filled with resentment towards Lu Ming. What are you shouting for? Are you trying to scare me? Hurry up. Lu Ming slapped King Kong's head, causing him to grimace in pain. He ran away as he cursed Lu Ming a few thousand times in his heart. When Yuezhang and Gong Fei were covered in cold sweat, they were really impressed by Lu Ming. He could actually subdue a demonic beast prodigy as a mount and make him obedient. He was really amazing. The 3 of them closed their eyes and rested on King Kong's back. King Kong ran at an extremely fast speed. Soon they had crossed over 1,000,000 miles. This place was not far from the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming asked King Kong to transform into his human form, while Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang, and Gong Fei changed their appearances. They changed their clothes and concealed their auras before flying toward the Sky Poison Island. The Talisman Puppet Sect was being targeted, and Lu Ming was the target of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the Sky Demon Valley. It would be troublesome if they appeared in their true appearances, so they might as well disguise themselves. After changing their appearances, the 4 of them flew forward. In front of them, it became more and more desolate. There were mountains everywhere, but there was a dead silence on the mountains. After tens of thousands of miles, there was a huge sunken area between the mountains. It was a huge lake and it was difficult to see the end of it. Green mist covered the lake, blocking one's vision. One could only vaguely see that there was a huge object in the center of the lake. That was the Sky Poison Island. There were many figures standing on the shore of the lake. They looked into the distance, but no one flew toward the lake. When they saw Lu Ming and the others, they only glanced at them coldly before turning their heads away. Swoosh, swoosh. A few figures flew over from afar and landed on the shore of the lake. These people had dense demonic chi. They were the prodigies of the Heavenly Demon Tribe. This is the Sky Poison Island. The prodigies of the Heavenly Demon Tribe were excited. Why don't you go in? A demonic beast youth in colorful clothes looked at the others and asked, "Can't you see? The lake is filled with poisonous gas. How can we cross it?" A human youth said. Judging from his clothes, he should be a prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect. Hee, just some poisonous gas and you stopped. What a bunch of trash. You want to fight for the totem pole? Go home. The youth in colorful clothes sneered and stepped into the air. He turned into a colorful python and flew toward the lake. The prodigy of the Heavenly Corpse sect sneered. The colorful python was very fast. In a few breaths' time, it had rushed into the lake and into the green mist. However, as soon as he charged into the green mist, he let out a miserable shriek. His multicolored body began to emit sizzling sounds as it began to rot. The colorful python desperately tried to fly back, but after a few miles, it fell into the lake. Its body rotted and soon only a skeleton was left. What a terrifying poisonous gas. Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei looked solemn. The colorful python had reached the 7th level, which was equivalent to the 1st level of spirit embryo realm. However, it was poisoned to death without any resistance. How can this be? The other prodigies of the heavenly demon tribe who came with the colorful python were shocked. Hee, what a bunch of idiots. Didn't you do any research before coming here? The poisonous gas in the lake is extremely poisonous. It's impossible to cross it. However, the poisonous gas dissipates for 7 days every 3 months. That's the best time to enter the Sky Poison Island. There's still half a month before the poisonous gas dissipates. Just wait. Chapter 940. Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang and the others' expressions changed slightly. They had not known about this beforehand. If they had not been cautious, they would have been in danger if they had rushed in rashly. It was no wonder that these people were standing by the lake and did not go over. Lu Ming and the others observed for a while and then left. Since there was still half a month before the poisonous fog dissipated, they found a place nearby to cultivate and wait. Dozens of miles away on a small mountain, the 4 of them sat cross-legged and waited for time to pass. Time flew by day. There were more and more people in this area, but most of them just took a look and waited nearby. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Lu Ming and the others returned to the shore. From the surrounding barren mountains, one figure after another flew towards this direction. Soon there were hundreds of people gathered here. Those who dared to come here to compete for opportunities were not weak. Of course, there were also those who wanted to rely on luck to try their luck. Boom. In the sky, an extremely powerful pressure came down and weighed down on everyone's hearts. Damn it, who is it? A burly young man shouted and looked up. But the next moment his expression changed drastically and cold sweat ran down his face. In the sky, a young man in a black robe stood with his hands behind his back. Demon chi filled the sky. His face was as sharp as a knife, and his expression was grave and stern. His eyes flashed with a bright light, like 2 demonic blades emitting light. Luo Tian, Demon Lord Luo Tian. Someone exclaimed. Luo Tian ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Many people's expressions changed and their hearts sank. They did not expect Luo Tian to come. Is this Luo Tian? Lu Ming's eyes moved. Luo Tian's younger brother, Little Demon Lord Luo Li, was killed by him. It seems that Luo Tian already knows that I killed his brother. Lu Ming looked at a person not far from Luo Tian. It was Brother Li Tian. It seemed that Brother Li Tian did not die at the hands of the 3-eyed divine tribe. Since Brother Li Tian was with Luo Tian should already know that he had killed Luo Li. But now that he had disguised himself and restrained his aura, he was not afraid. Luo Tian, I didn't know it was you. I take back what I said. The burly young man's face was extremely ugly. His eyes were filled with fear as he stuttered. People have to be responsible for their words. Luo Tian's eyes were cold, but his voice was calm. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. A pitch-black saber light tore through the void and slashed towards the burly youth. Go! Without hesitation, the burly young man turned around and fled frantically. However, Luo Tian frowned slightly and waved his hand again. The power of the blade light suddenly increased dramatically. It instantly cut through the void and slashed at the burly young man's head. No! The burly young man roared. Off! The saber light flashed and the sturdy youth was split into 2 halves. The surrounding geniuses were as silent as cicadas in winter, not daring to make a sound. Demon Lord Luo Tian was famous in the eastern wilderness. Who didn't know of his ruthless methods? Now that he had seen it today, it was indeed so. The burly young man had only unintentionally uttered a word of curse, and it had brought about a fatal disaster. Could be seen how overbearing he was. Moreover, that burly young man was a genius from the Emperor's Sky Divine Palace. Even if he was from the same sect, he was still killed by Luo Tian because of a single word. Haha, Luo Tian, you're really impressive. You can only show off here. At this moment, a mocking voice rang out. Everyone was shocked. Who was it? How dare he speak the truth to Luo Tian like this? Did he want to die? In the sky, a golden light flashed and a figure appeared in the air. It was a golden-haired young man. His face was as clear as jade and he was dressed in a golden feather robe. His body emitted a golden light, and within the light, a golden divine bird could be vaguely seen flying and chirping. A golden one. Lu Ming was shocked. He recognized the golden divine bird within the light. It was a genius from the demon clan. Jin Qi. Luo Tian slowly uttered a name. There was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. The others were also shocked. Although the demon clan of the Sky Demon Valley was not on the list of top 1,000 talents, some extremely powerful geniuses were still eye-catching. Jin Qi had the bloodline of the divine bird, the Golden One. It was said that the bloodline density was extremely high, at least 60%. Among the many geniuses of the Sky Demon Valley, he was ranked in the top 5. He was even more famous than Luo Tian. No wonder he dared to look down on Luo Tian. Luo Tian, with me here, you can forget about the totem pole of the Sky Poison Island. Jin Qi sneered at Luo Tian. Not necessarily. It depends on one's ability, but it also depends on luck and opportunity. Luo Tian said. Haha, luck? Opportunity? I have the strength to crush everything. Why would I need luck and opportunity? Only the weak talk like that. Jin Qi laughed. Luo Tian's face was ugly. If anyone else dared to talk to him like that, he would have killed them. However, he was not confident in dealing with Jin Qi. He felt a strong sense of danger from Jin Qi. The poisonous fog is starting to disperse. At this moment, someone exclaimed softly. Everyone looked forward. There seemed to be a gust of wind on the surface of the lake. The dense green poisonous fog was rapidly dissipating, and the scene in the lake became clear. There was a huge island in the center of the lake. It was about 10,000 miles away from the shore. That was the Sky Poison Island. Whoosh! Jin Qi was the first to move. He turned into a golden ray of light and flew toward the Sky Poison Island. Soon after, Luo Tian and a few other geniuses also moved. They all fought to be the first to fly toward the Sky Poison Island. Lu Ming's group of 4 blended into the crowd and flew over as well. The journey of 10,000 miles was only a few minutes for them. Many people stopped as they approached the island. Because the island was covered in a dense forest, it was completely different from the outside world. In the sky above the forest, there was a thick green fog rolling like green clouds. However, there was only a faint green fog in the forest below. Compared to the sky, it was countless times thinner. I think Jin Qi has already rushed in. Although there is poisonous fog in the forest, it is far from being comparable to the poisonous fog on the surface of the lake. It is also incomparable to the fog in the sky. It should be able to resist. That's right. As long as we don't fly into the sky, it should be fine. Let's go. One figure after another rushed into the island and disappeared. Let's go. Lu Ming's group of 4 gathered together and descended into the forest. Chi. After descending into the forest, a sizzling sound could be heard. That was the green fog corroding their protective Zhenyuan. However, it wasn't very strong and they easily blocked it. The 4 followed the forest and rushed toward the depths of the island. Not long after, they heard a mournful scream. Danger. The 4 looked at each other and lowered their speed. They focused and headed toward the direction of the scream. Not long after, they found a youth lying on the ground, no longer breathing. Chapter 941. Poisonous Insects. Clearly, this island was not only filled with deadly poisonous gas, but also poisonous insects. Swoosh. The fist-sized poisonous scorpion noticed them and turned into a streak of black light that shot toward King Kong. You're courting death. King Kong shouted as a large saber appeared in his hand. He slashed at the scorpion accurately. Clang. The sound of metal clashing was heard as the poisonous scorpion flew far away and crashed into the ground, creating a large crater. However, the next moment the scorpion shook its body and crawled out of the ground. Nest, what a tough body. I can't believe it didn't get cut in half by my saber. King Kong was slightly surprised. Although that strike of his just now was a casual strike, the weapon he used was a level 7 spirit weapon. With that strike, the poisonous scorpion actually didn't die. No wonder it could kill a young prodigy. Swoosh. The black poisonous scorpion pounced at King Kong again. Do you think I'm easy to bully? King Kong grinned, put away his saber and swung his claw. Swoosh. The sharp claw light tore through the air and scratched the poisonous scorpion. The poisonous scorpion could not withstand King Kong's sharp claws and was torn into pieces. Then they became more careful and moved deeper into the island at a much slower speed. That's Poison Heart Wood. After 100 miles, when Yuezhang suddenly stopped, he found a fragrant tree that was as thick as an arm. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure here. Gong Fei's eyes lit up. That was a top-grade level 7 spiritual wood. It had a powerful detoxifying effect when used to refine pills. It could produce detoxifying pills in a highly poisonous place. There must be a lot of treasures here. Gong Fei said. Let's collect them first. When we get out of Sky Poison Island, we'll split them equally. No one objected to Wen Yuezhang's suggestion. Then when Yuezhang dug out the Poison Heart Wood and put it away, they continued to move forward. From time to time they found spiritual herbs. They were at least level 6, and some were even level 7. The most shocking thing was that they found 2 level 8 spiritual herbs. Not only were there spiritual herbs, but there were also a few precious ores. There's a corpse. Along the way they found a corpse. However, it was already in tatters. Clearly, it had been bitten by poisonous insects. This place was filled with opportunities, but it was also filled with danger. More than 100 people had entered, and it was unknown how many of them would die here. Rustle. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the forest. Look, there's something in the ground. Gong Fei suddenly exclaimed. On the ground in front of them, a large piece of land protruded, and that protrusion was moving towards them at an extremely fast speed. When Yuezhang stomped on the ground and a formation appeared. A battle sword condensed and slashed at the protrusion. Bang. The protruding part was cut off, but in the next moment, everyone's expression changed greatly. Countless black poisonous scorpions charged out from the ground toward the 4 of them. There were so many of them that it was hard to tell how many there were. This venomous scorpion was identical to the one he had seen before. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei started inscribing inscriptions at the same time. A formation appeared on the ground, and a barrier of light appeared before the 4 of them. Bang, bang, bang. Countless poisonous scorpions slammed into the light screen, causing it to vibrate violently. Puff, puff. Following that, the light screens shattered one after another, and Lu Ming and the others' expressions changed drastically. These light screens were condensed from elementary level 7 formations, but they were easily broken. Let's go, there are too many poisonous scorpions. We can't kill them all. Lu Ming shouted, and the 4 of them turned around and ran at top speed. Behind them, the poisonous scorpions chased. However, every time Lu Ming, Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei took a step, a large formation would appear on the ground, forming a light screen to block the poisonous scorpions. Thus, the speed of the scorpions was greatly reduced, and the 4 of them soon shook off the scorpions. Whoosh. At this moment, a scarlet thing pierced through the air, emitting a disgusting smell, and pierced towards Lu Ming's forehead. Lu Ming's expression changed, and 4 types of intent surrounded him as he struck out with his palm. Bang. Suddenly, he felt an enormous force surge towards him, and his body involuntarily took 2 steps back. The scarlet thing was also sent flying. A fish. Lu Ming could not help but be shocked when he saw what had ambushed him. It was a large colorful fish that was more than 10 meters long. Its body was covered in scales, but it actually had a pair of wings. It was flying in the air, and a scarlet tongue was extending and retracting from its mouth. It was the big fish that had ambushed Lu Ming just now. What kind of monster is that? Wen Yuezhang also said in a low voice. Gaga. The big fish let out a strange cry, flapped its wings and pounced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed out. He circulated the hell-suppressing heaven skill and slashed at the strange fish with his palm. The strange fish's scarlet tongue curled like a soft whip towards Lu Ming. Bang. The palm struck the strange fish's tongue and the tongue exploded. Lu Ming's body did not stop as he continued to rush towards the strange fish. The strange fish let out a strange cry and spat out a thick green poisonous gas from its mouth. Lu Ming burst forth with the power of devouring and covered his body, instantly swallowing the poisonous gas. He rushed over and struck the strange fish's head with his palm. With a bang, the strange fish exploded. The strength of the strange fish was not weaker than the 3rd level of Spirit Embryo Realm, and with the addition of the poisonous gas, it was even more terrifying. However, it was easily killed by Lu Ming. However, this also showed how dangerous it was. After all, there were not many people who had the battle prowess of Lu Ming. Many of the prodigies who had encountered the strange fish had only one path: death. There seems to be something over there? King Kong's nose twitched a few times as if he had smelled something. He looked to the right. That was the direction where the strange fish had appeared. Let's go take a look. The four of them went to the right, and not long after, a few more strange fish appeared and rushed towards them. These strange fish seemed to be guarding something. There should be treasures. The four of them thought of something and attacked with all their might. The few strange fish were easily killed, and they continued forward. Along the way they killed over 10 strange fish. They saw a cliff, and on the cliff there was a small puddle. That's the water of life. When Yuezhang cried out in surprise, Lu Ming, King Kong, and Gong Fei's eyes suddenly widened. In the small puddle, there was a milky white liquid that was emitting an astonishing amount of life essence. The water of life, it's the water of life, Lu Ming said excitedly. He had once bid for a small bottle of the water of life in an auction in the Hong domain. However, it had been diluted and its concentration was very low, so it could not be considered the true water of life. However, Lu Ming would never forget the aura it gave off. In the small puddle in front of him was the true water of life. The water of life was a supreme treasure that was extremely rare in the world. Chapter 942. Such rare treasures were all measured in drops. For example, the bottle of life elixir that Lu Ming had bid for previously was probably diluted with a drop of life elixir. But there was a small puddle in front of him that weighed at least a few kilograms. Opportunity, a great opportunity. King Kong grinned. Lu Ming and the others also smiled. Let's split it equally? When Yuezhang said. Okay. Lu Ming and the others agreed. When Yuezhang immediately took out a jade bottle and prepared to collect the life elixir. Haha, what a great opportunity. There's actually life elixir here. At this moment an excited laughter sounded. With a flash of golden light, a young man appeared at the scene. Jinchi. They were shocked. The person who came was the demon race prodigy of the Sky Monster Valley. Jinchi glanced at the life elixir and scolded, I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you. You can scram. Jinchi, we found this life elixir first. You want to take it all for yourself? Your appetite is too big. When Yuezhang said with an ugly expression. Appetite? My appetite is that big, so what? Do you want to fight with me? Jinchi's body emitted a golden light and his eyes were filled with killing intent. With a contemptuous smile, he swept his gaze over Lu Ming and the others. King Kong, you're a demon race prodigy after all. How embarrassing for you to mix with humans. You don't have to go back to the Sky Monster Valley, otherwise I don't mind killing you. A cold voice came from Jinchi's mouth. King Kong's expression was ugly, but he didn't dare to refute. There was a faint flash of fear in his eyes. Obviously, King Kong was extremely afraid of Jinchi when Yuezhang and Gong Fei's spirit fire jumped between their eyebrows. Lu Ming's true essence burst out as he confronted Jinchi. You're overestimating yourself. You're courting death. Jinchi's gaze turned cold. The golden light on his body became denser and a terrifying aura burst out. That aura was incomparably vast, and the pressure was like a mountain pressing down on everyone. Lu Ming and the others felt an extremely dangerous feeling in their hearts. They felt that their lives would be in danger if they fought with Jinchi. Lu Ming, let's go. At this moment King Kong growled. When Yuezhang and Gong Fei's faces were filled with unwillingness. Let's go. Jinchi is an extremely powerful person. I fought with him before. Even if the four of us join forces, we still won't be his opponent. The difference is too great. We can only be killed. King Kong growled and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and the other two. Go. At this time Lu Ming spoke. Jin Gang was right. Jinchi gave him an extremely dangerous feeling. Lu Ming felt that if they really fought, even with the mountain and river diagram, he wouldn't be able to defend against Jinchi's attacks. Perhaps they would all be killed here. Although the water of life was precious, there was no need to risk one's life to obtain it. When Yuezhang and Gong Fei also gritted their teeth, the four of them quickly retreated and left the place. Jinchi smiled faintly. It wasn't that he was kind and didn't want to kill them, but he felt that Lu Ming and the other three weren't simple. If they really fought, even if he could kill Lu Ming and the other three, it would take him a lot of effort. This island was full of poisonous insects and fog. It would save him a lot of effort to find the totem pole, which was why he didn't attack. Otherwise he would have killed Lu Ming and the others directly. What a pity. After leaving, when Yuezhang sighed, Lu Ming didn't say anything, but his gaze became more determined. In this world, strength spoke louder than words. Without strength it was useless to say anything. The four of them continued to explore, but they didn't change their direction and kept going deeper into the island. This was because the totem pole was most likely in the depths of the island. However, the deeper they went into the island, the thicker the poisonous fog became, and the more powerful it became. Inscriptions appeared on Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei's bodies, and a light shield blocked the poisonous fog around them. King Kong's demonic power spread and covered his entire body. Sizzle. When the poisonous fog came into contact with the inscriptions and the demonic power, it constantly sizzled and corroded the light shield and demonic power. Only Lu Ming was the most relaxed. His entire body was covered with a layer of devouring power, and all the poisonous fog was devoured. Lu Ming's movements were not affected at all. This made Wen Yuezhang and the others click their tongues in wonder. In their eyes, Lu Ming was becoming more and more unfathomable. Not long after, they saw a young man with a green face running back in a panic. It was obvious that he was deeply poisoned. Their faces were solemn as they moved forward for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog was even more terrifying. The light shield formed by Wen Yuezhang and Gong Fei shook and trembled on Drama Island, and so did King Kong's demonic power. It was constantly fighting against the poisonous fog, and it was very draining. Lu Ming, it seems like we can only go this far. We can't go any further. Wen Yuezhang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Me too, Gong Fei said. King Kong also looked at Lu Ming with eager eyes. If this continued, they would be in danger. Okay, then you guys look for opportunities in the periphery. I'll go deeper and take a look. Lu Ming nodded, then bid farewell to Wen Yuezhang and the others and moved forward alone. Not long after, Lu Ming walked for another few thousand miles. At this point, the poisonous fog had reached an astonishing level. Not even the poisonous insects could be seen, let alone humans. Thud thud, Lu Ming moved forward carefully. He did not know what dangers he would encounter here, so he was on full alert and did not dare to move too fast. There's someone in front. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He saw a figure in front of him, who was also moving forward slowly. Obviously he was much slower than Lu Ming. Luo Tian. When he got closer, he realized that the young man in front was Luo Tian. Demonic qi surrounded Luo Tian, forming a thick demonic qi armor that covered his body and blocked the poisonous fog around him. However, the poisonous fog was so powerful that it constantly corroded the demonic qi armor. It was obvious that Luo Tian was having a hard time moving forward. Hearing the commotion, Luo Tian turned his head, and his eyes were filled with shock. Obviously, he did not expect that other than Jin Qi and him, there would be someone else who could reach this place. However, when he saw the devouring power on Lu Ming's body, his eyes lit up. Lu Ming ignored Luo Tian and walked forward, but Luo Tian clearly had no intention of letting him go. Bam! Luo Tian took a step forward and appeared in front of Lu Ming, blocking his path. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Lu Ming's face darkened. You should have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, right? Give it to me. Luo Tian said in a commanding tone. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. It turned out that Luo Tian treated the devouring power of the Nine Dragons bloodline as some kind of treasure. Sir, I don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog. Lu Ming said. You don't have it? You want to lie to me? Do you think I'm a fool? If you don't have a treasure that can block the poisonous fog, how could you have reached this place? Hand it over quickly or I'll take it myself. It's the same. Chapter 943. Your Excellency, that's too much. Lu Ming said. Even if he had a treasure that could block the poisonous gas, he would still be poisoned to death if he gave it to Luo Tian. Luo Tian did not care about his life at all. Haha, too much? You trash, it's your honor to be able to help me. If you don't hand it over, I'll kill you immediately. Demonic qi flickered in Luo Tian's eyes, and his killing intent became even colder. Haha, Luo Tian, who do you think you are? Lu Ming suddenly sneered, then took a step forward and dashed to the side. You're courting death. Luo Tian was stunned for a moment, then he roared and slashed at Lu Ming with his palm like a knife. The terrifying saber radiance almost split the poisonous gas. The surrounding poisonous gas rolled as the saber radiance approached Lu Ming. With a dragon roar, Lu Ming unleashed all his dragon power. At the same time, the mountain river diagram rushed out and surrounded him. Boom! Lu Ming punched out and collided with the saber radiance. There was a terrible roar and the poisonous gas nearby was dispersed. Lu Ming felt waves of terrifying saber radiance rushing toward him. Most of them were blocked by the mountain river diagram, but some of them entered the diagram. Several wounds appeared on Lu Ming's body and blood flowed out. Lu Ming took advantage of this force and retreated 1,000 meters before dashing to the side. What an overbearing saber technique. What a strong combat strength. Lu Ming spat blood from the corner of his mouth. The scales on his fist were broken, revealing a deep saber wound. Luo Tian's strength was far above his. No wonder he was ranked 10th on the list of top 1,000 talents. So you're quite strong. Luo Tian frowned, and his killing intent became even colder. Although he did not use all his strength, there were not many people who could block his saber. Bam! He took a step forward and his body was like a saber gleam. He chased after Lu Ming at an extremely fast speed. Boy, you have a lot of treasures. You'd better hand them all over, or I'll make you die a horrible death. Luo Tian's voice was cold. Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He broke into a run. Kill? Luo Tian shouted. A black demonic saber appeared in his hand, and he slashed with all his strength. 1,000-meter-long saber radiance was formed, cutting through the poisonous gas and the void, slashing toward Lu Ming. This saber radiance was several times stronger than the previous saber radiance. Lu Ming did not take it head-on. His figure flashed to the side at high speed. However, the saber gleam actually moved along with him and slashed down at high speed. In the end, Lu Ming managed to dodge it. However, he was still hit by the sharpness of the saber aura. The mountain river diagram shook violently. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Due to his injuries, it was difficult for him to maintain his disguise and return to his original appearance. Lu Ming. Seeing Lu Ming's true appearance, Luo Tian let out a furious roar, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. Lu Ming, so it's you. How dare you kill my brother, Luo Li? Die, I want you to die without a burial ground. Devil Chi rushed into the sky from Luo Tian's body, and his speed increased to a terrifying level. He was like a demonic saber cutting through the air. His speed was even slightly faster than Lu Ming's. So strong. Looking at Luo Tian's cultivation, he's only at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, but his battle prowess is too terrifying. Even prodigies like Wang Chen and Nangong Bo would be easily killed by him even if they were at the same level as him. Lu Ming's thoughts turned rapidly. Luo Tian's strength was extremely terrifying. It couldn't be measured by normal martial arts practitioners or even normal prodigies. Other than a few people, Luo Tian was basically invincible among those at the same level. What's more, his cultivation was 3 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Lu Ming changed his direction and rushed towards the depths of Sky Poison Island. The poisonous gas there was thicker, which was advantageous for Lu Ming. Damn it! Luo Tian roared in anger and chased after him with gritted teeth. In a blink of an eye he was 100 miles deep. Wung. Suddenly a buzzing sound came from the front. It was a swarm of poisonous bees. There were basically no living creatures here, but there were still so many poisonous bees. These poisonous bees were definitely terrifying. Luo Tian, I'll let you have a taste of these poisonous bees. Lu Ming didn't stop and rushed towards the poisonous bees. At the same time he threw out a punch and a blazing fist aura rushed into the swarm of poisonous bees. This time it was like poking a hornet's nest. The swarm of poisonous bees exploded, and they seemed to be very angry as they rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the mountain and river diagram to block. Bang bang bang. These poisonous bees continuously crashed into the mountain and river diagram, causing it to tremble violently. After that, Lu Ming turned and sprinted towards Luo Tian. Damn it, lunatic! Luo Tian roared and slashed out a shocking blade aura. Lu Ming did his best to dodge. Although he didn't manage to completely dodge and was shaken to the point of vomiting blood, the blade aura still chopped down a swarm of poisonous bees. The other poisonous bees flew towards Luo Tian in anger. At the head of each wasp, there was a long tube that spewed out multicolored poisonous gas that spread towards Luo Tian. Crackle crackle. Luo Tian's demonic armor emitted sounds of corrosion. He was so frightened that his face turned pale as he ran towards the back. Lu Ming, don't let me see you again. I'll definitely kill you. Luo Tian's voice sounded, but he had already disappeared. Lu Ming ran forward with large strides. There was a swarm of poisonous bees chasing after him. Fortunately, he could devour the poisonous gas and the poisonous gas was ineffective against him. The mountain and river diagram could also defend against the attacks of the poisonous bees. Not long after, Lu Ming shook off the poisonous bees and continued forward. After 1,000 miles, a huge mountain appeared in front of Lu Ming's eyes. Boom, boom. Suddenly, a violent explosion came from the bottom of the mountain. There seemed to be living beings fighting. Who is it? Could it be a prodigy of the human race? Is there anyone else who can reach this place? Lu Ming's face changed. According to his guess, Luo Tian shouldn't be able to reach this place. He immediately retracted his aura and carefully approached. After entering, he discovered that there was a cave at the bottom of the mountain. The explosion came from within the cave. Lu Ming found a hidden place to hide and looked forward. Not long after, the explosion in the cave disappeared. A golden light flashed and a figure charged out of the cave. Jin Qi. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That figure was actually Jin Qi. There was a golden bead above Jin Qi's head. It scattered rays of sword light and helped Jin Qi block the poisonous gas outside. However, it obviously couldn't block it completely. Jin Qi's face was green and he was clearly poisoned. Damned beast. Jin Qi roared and glared at the cave. He then found a place and took out a pile of origin stones and began to absorb the poison. He didn't discover Lu Ming. It was obvious that he had fought with something in the cave and had used up a lot of his true essence. He came out to absorb the origin stones to recover his true essence. Half an hour later, Jin Qi stood up and charged into the cave. The sounds of battle came from within the cave again. Not long after, Jin Qi roared and charged out of the cave. This time he was in an even more sorry state. His hair was disheveled and his golden feather clothes were torn apart. The golden bead above his head had also shattered and the scattered golden light was greatly weakened. The green aura on Jin Qi's face was even thicker. It was obvious that the poison had deepened and his aura was much weaker than before. He unwillingly looked at the cave and didn't dare to stay. He rushed out. Chapter 944. Lu Ming wouldn't let go of such an opportunity to take his life while he was down. While rushing out, Lu Ming directly released his dragon force and approached Jin Qi in a few breaths. Who is it? Jin Qi was alarmed. He suddenly looked toward Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming's palm struck towards Jin Qi's head. Lu Ming had exerted all his strength in this palm strike, which could split a mountain. Jin Qi never expected that there would be someone else here. In a hurry, he raised his arm to block. Boom. Jin Qi's body was sent flying far away as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Looks like you're seriously injured. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Previously, seeing how Luo Tian was so afraid of Jin Qi, it could be seen that Jin Qi's strength was extremely terrifying. He was definitely not weaker than Luo Tian and might even be stronger. But now he was sent flying by Lu Ming's palm strike. Could be seen that Jin Qi was seriously injured in the cave. Furthermore, his body was covered in poison gas and his strength was greatly weakened. Brat, you dare to sneak attack me? You're courting death. Jin Qi was instantly enraged as he retreated. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked at Lu Ming. Looking at him, Jin Qi's eyes widened as he exclaimed, Lu Ming, you're Lu Ming? Lu Ming wasn't in disguise, so Jin Qi naturally recognized him. Kill? Lu Ming was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. He took large strides forward and charged towards Jin Qi. Don't think that you can kill me just because I'm injured. The one who will die today is you. I'll be able to obtain the Flood Dragon Sovereign's reward after killing you. Jin Qi's voice was cold as a powerful golden light erupted from his body as he charged towards Lu Ming. Boom. The two exchanged a blow. Lu Ming's figure swayed and stood still, but Jin Qi kept retreating. You're not my opponent now. Lu Ming didn't care about defense as he crazily attacked Jin Qi. Every punch and every palm contained the power of millions of Jins, suppressing everything as they rained down on Jin Qi. Moreover, many of the attacks were aimed at the bead above Jin Qi's head. Boom. Boom. The golden pool erupted, colliding with Lu Ming's attacks continuously. Bang. After dozens of moves, the bead on top of Jin Qi's head was shattered by Lu Ming's fist. The bead shattered, and even more poison gas rushed towards Jin Qi. Jin Qi's face turned even more green. Damn it. Jin Qi let out a sharp cry and transformed into her true form. She was a golden Yuan. Of course, she wasn't a pure-blooded golden Yuan. She had over 60% of the golden Yuan's bloodline. With a dragon's roar, Lu Ming used bloodline fusion to transform into 9 dragons and continued to attack. Jin Qi constantly coughed up blood. His golden body was covered with a thick layer of green poison gas that was becoming denser and denser. Jin Qi struggled, wanting to rush out, but was firmly entangled by Lu Ming. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for Jin Qi. Jin Qi's eyes were already filled with panic. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. Puchi. The 9 dragon claws clawed at Jin Qi's body and tore off a large chunk of flesh. Golden feathers fluttered in the air as Jinchi let out a miserable shriek. Bang! 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps were used. 6 steps in a row, a violent attack poured down on Jinchi's body, smashing him into the ground and creating a large crater. Bang! The 9 dragons descended and used their claws to grab Jinchi's wings. Blood splattered everywhere as Jinchi's wings were torn off. Jinchi let out a heart-wrenching scream. He no longer had the arrogant attitude he had before. What was left was only fear and embarrassment. He was terrified. He could feel death approaching. Boom! The dragon claws clawed down once again, and a violent energy blasted into Jinchi's body, scattering his demonic energy. "No, don't kill me. Spare me." Jinchi screamed. He didn't want to die. The 9 dragons clawed at Jinchi's neck and looked at him with cold eyes. "Weren't you high and mighty before? You were domineering and didn't even blink when you took someone else's things. Your biggest mistake was that you couldn't bear to use it. When you came out of the cave, you directly swallowed a few drops of life water. Your injuries would have healed immediately. I'm not your opponent. Unfortunately, you couldn't bear to waste the life water." Lu Ming sneered again and again. Jinchi's eyes widened. "You're one of the 4? That's right," Lu Ming said. "Lu Ming, spare me. I'll give you whatever you want. I still have a lot of treasures in my storage ring, including the life water. I can return them all to you as long as you let me go." Jinchi begged loudly. "Spare you? Wait until your injuries are healed before coming to kill me? Am I that stupid? What's more, after I kill you, won't your treasures be mine?" Lu Ming sneered. "No, don't kill me. I swear I will never take revenge on you," Jinchi screamed. But before he could finish his words, Lu Ming suddenly exerted his strength and waved his dragon claw, killing Jinchi. A demon clan genius who was comparable to the top 10 of the list of top 1,000 talents died just like that. He died with great reluctance. Devouring power erupted, devouring all of Jinchi's blood essence and taking away his storage ring. Glancing at the storage ring, Lin Fan saw 2 jade bottles, and within the bottles were life water. Lu Ming was delighted. He put away the storage ring and looked at the cave. There was a creature in the cave. How was it after fighting with Jinchi for such a long time? Lu Ming speculated that the creature in the cave wouldn't be much stronger than Jinchi, otherwise, Jinchi wouldn't have dared to attack it again and again. It wouldn't be much stronger than Jinchi. If Jinchi was injured, the creature couldn't be unharmed. Perhaps it was an opportunity. Could it be that the totem pole is in this cave? Otherwise, why would Jinchi fight so hard? Lu Ming's heart burned at the thought of the totem pole. Lu Ming carefully approached the cave. The cave was very large and there was a faint light coming from inside. Lu Ming slowly walked in and looked inside. Inside there was a huge cave. Behind the cave there was another cave. The light was coming from that cave. There was a huge colorful crab in that cave. The crab was taller than a human just by lying there. However, there were many wounds on the crab's body, and blood was still flowing out of them. It seemed that this was the crab that had fought with Jinchi. However, this crab wasn't much better than Jinchi. Its aura was weak, and it was obviously seriously injured. Lu Ming's fingers began to move in the air, and he began to inscribe an array. He was very fast. His fingers moved like lightning in the air, and endless inscriptions disappeared into the space. Squeak, squeak. The crab obviously felt the fluctuations and raised its head. When it saw Lu Ming, it let out a sharp sound, then got up and crawled towards Lu Ming. "Kill?" Lu Ming shouted. The array in the air glowed, condensing into arrows that shot towards the crab. The crab waved its tail and blocked all the arrows. Chapter 945. Unfortunately, Lu Ming was not afraid of the poisonous gas. He rushed over and started a battle with the giant crab. This giant crab was very powerful. It was definitely not weaker than Jinchi. In fact, it was slightly stronger. However, most of the giant crab's power came from its poisonous gas. To others, this was a fatal threat. However, to Lu Ming it could be ignored. Moreover, the giant crab was heavily injured and its strength was greatly weakened. As a result, Lu Ming still had the upper hand. However, even if Lu Ming had the upper hand, it would still be very difficult for him to kill the giant crab. In the cave, explosions continued. Lu Ming did his best to fight with the giant crab. After a few hundred moves, Lu Ming finally killed the giant crab. However, Lu Ming himself had also suffered serious injuries and was severely injured. Lu Ming took out a jade bottle that contained the life water. He poured out 2 drops and swallowed them. At the same time, he took out a pile of ores and let the 9 dragons' bloodline devour them. Lu Ming's injuries recovered at an astonishing speed. In just a few minutes, his injuries were completely healed. The life water is really amazing, Lu Ming thought to himself. Soon Lu Ming's true yuan was fully recovered. He looked at the cave that was emitting light. Was the totem pole inside? Lu Ming carefully walked over and stepped into the cave. This was a tunnel. The light came from the front. The tunnel was more than 100 meters long. After going through the tunnel, Lu Ming came to another huge cave. Lu Ming was very surprised when he came to this cave. This was because there was not a trace of poisonous gas in this cave. Instead, it was filled with rich heaven and earth spirit chi. Even the heaven and earth spirit chi was filled with heaven and earth origin chi. This chi was exactly the same as the one in the ores. It was called origin chi. This cave and the sky poison island were simply two different worlds. That is. Suddenly, he was shocked to see a burly figure sitting cross-legged in a corner of the cave. That figure was clearly a three-eyed god. However, this three-eyed god looked very old. Its scales had fallen off, and its two sharp horns were dim and full of lethargy. However, there was still a faint aura of life on its body. Beside this three-eyed god, there were many skeletons. The bones were thick and solid. At a glance, one could tell that they were the skeletons of the three-eyed god. At this time, the three-eyed god suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Lu Ming. 20 years have passed. You humans have come again. An old voice came out of the three-eyed god's mouth. Lu Ming looked at this three-eyed god with a serious expression on his face. This three-eyed divine member seemed to be very old and seemed to be nearing the end of his life. His aura was very weak and did not pose a threat to Lu Ming. Lu Ming then felt at ease. Human youth? What's wrong? Are you still afraid of a dying man like me? The old three-eyed divine race being said. Why are you here? Lu Ming asked. According to what he knew, the three-eyed god race could not enter some of the ruins here. They would die if they entered. Moreover, the Sky Poison Island was one of the 9 great forbidden lands. How did the three-eyed god race enter? Could it be that the three-eyed god race could enter the Sky Poison Island? How did I enter? Do you think that I wanted to enter and was forced to do so? This world does not allow existences above the spiritual god realm. We are just training targets for you humans. The three-eyed god let out a deep roar. What do you know? Lu Ming's eyes moved. He had always felt that there was a powerful existence behind all of this. The War of Providence was like a training ground for them. Who was the one controlling everything behind the scenes? Do you want to know? I can tell you. The three-eyed god said in a deep voice. Lu Ming did not speak. He listened quietly and remained cautious. Although the three-eyed god race's aura was weak, Lu Ming still did not dare to be careless. According to the ancient records, the three-eyed god race is powerful and dominates the world. Outside of this world, you humans are just defeated opponents of the three-eyed god race. You are just my race's dogs. The three-eyed god race sneered. Lu Ming still did not speak. The three-eyed god race continued. In this world, a long time ago, the remnants of the human race captured a group of us three-eyed god race and placed them in this world for our race to reproduce. Then they used them to nurture the human race's sky prides. They tried to nurture peerless sky prides to compete with us in the outside world. What a fool's dream. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Where was the outside world that the three-eyed god race was talking about? It shouldn't be the world that Lu Ming was in. Could it be the heavenly realm? The three-eyed god race appeared on that small island in the heavenly realm and said that they wanted to attack the primordial realm. Could the War of Providence be controlled by the heavenly realm? In an instant, Lu Ming thought of many things. Therefore, in this world, there can't be any experts above the spirit god realm. As long as someone in my race breaks through to the spirit god realm, they will be suppressed or even killed. I was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth when I was breaking through to the spirit god realm. I dragged my severely injured body and escaped here. So don't worry, I'm not a threat to you. The three-eyed god race continued. That's all? Lu Ming asked. That's all I know. It's been too long. Kid, I'm just struggling at death's door and suffering every day. Since I've said so much, come and kill me and set me free. The three-eyed god race sighed. Kill you? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. That's right. I'm dragging my injured body and suffering every day. I might as well die. How about you help me with this? The three-eyed god race said. Okay. Lu Ming's eyes flickered a few times, then he strode towards the three-eyed god race, condensed a spear in his hand and aimed it at the three-eyed god race. At this moment, the three-eyed god race's lips curled into a sneer. In the next moment, a black shadow rushed out from the three-eyed god race's dantian and charged towards Lu Ming. I knew you would do this. Lu Ming sneered and retreated quickly. The mountain river diagram revolved around him as he threw a punch. The terrifying fist force blasted onto the shadow, causing it to let out a scream. Although it dispersed, it condensed again in the next moment and continued to charge towards Lu Ming. However, it was blocked by the mountain river diagram and was sent flying. That's a spirit god. Lu Ming's heart trembled. At this moment he saw the appearance of the shadow clearly. It was actually a miniature three-eyed god race that looked almost the same as the three-eyed god race's elder. It was clearly a spirit god condensed by the three-eyed god race's elder. This three-eyed god race's elder had almost stepped into the spirit god realm. Unfortunately, it was suppressed. A half-formed spirit god that's about to dissipate and you want to kill me? Then I'll fulfill your wish and finish you off completely. Lu Ming took a step forward and continuously blasted out with his fists. Rays of fist light blasted towards the three-eyed god race's spirit god. Chapter 946. Bang, bang. Fist lights blasted out incessantly, causing the spirit deity to become even weaker. If it was an ordinary domain enlightened spirit god, then Lu Ming would absolutely not be a match for the domain enlightened spirit god. However, this old man hadn't completely broken through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm when he was suppressed, and he could only be considered to be a half-domain enlightened spirit god. Moreover, he was heavily injured and extremely weak, so he was completely suppressed by Lu Ming. After a short while, the spirit deity shook and flew back into the old man's body. The old man roared furiously. Don't even dream of obtaining the totem. I'll destroy it. As soon as he finished speaking, the old man's body suddenly moved, and he pounced towards a direction. Lu Ming swept the surroundings with his gaze, and he saw a stone pillar that was around 3 meters tall at the side of the cave. The stone pillar was inscribed with various patterns like dragons, phoenixes, tigers, and so on and so forth. That's the totem. Lu Ming was shocked in his heart. His attention was completely focused on the old man earlier, and he actually didn't notice the totem. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming took a stride forward and arrived before the old man. A spear condensed in his hand before he pierced through the old man. Wuxia. The spear pierced through the old man's body and nailed him to the wall on the other side. I'm unwilling to accept this. My three-eyed god race will annihilate the human race sooner or later. The old man roared furiously and unwillingly, and then he stopped breathing. Lu Ming's expression was calm. He could understand the old man's unwillingness. He'd cultivated bitterly for his entire lifetime and was about to break through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm, yet he was suppressed. His lifetime of hard work had been wasted, and he could only hide in this cave and wait for his lifespan to be exhausted before he died of old age. However, they were of different races and were enemies, so Lu Ming didn't feel any pity for him. His gaze descended onto the stone pillar. Is this the totem pole? Lu Ming's purpose of coming here was to see it. Lu Ming walked over to the bottom of the totem, and then he hugged it with both hands and pulled forcefully, yet it actually didn't move at all. It's quite heavy. Lu Ming smiled lightly and then he exerted his full strength. The true essence within his body erupted as he pulled forcefully. Rumble. The entire cave shook as Lu Ming slowly pulled out the totem pole. Rise. Lu Ming hollered. His muscles bulged and he exerted force on his waist. With a loud bang, the totem pole was uprooted. But at this time, the totem pole suddenly shone brightly. Over 10 jet black rays of light suddenly burst out and flew towards Lu Ming's forehead. Not good. Lu Ming was shocked. The reason for that was because with a quick glance, he saw that the dozen or so rays of light were actually a dozen or so spiritual deities. They were all miniature versions of the three-eyed divine race. At this moment, Lu Ming's mind flashed back to the skeletons beside the old three-eyed god. Could it be that those skeletons belonged to the three-eyed divine race that was suppressed after breaking through to the domain enlightened spirit god realm and perished here? After they died, the spirit deity attached itself to the totem pole. I've been tricked. Just now, the old three-eyed god pretended to destroy the totem pole, but in fact he was reminding Lu Ming that it was the totem pole. He was reminding Lu Ming to pull it out. Once the totem pole was pulled out, the spirit deities in the totem pole would attack Lu Ming. But at this moment, everything happened so suddenly that it was too late for Lu Ming to dodge. Whoosh, whoosh. The dozen or so spirit deities directly rushed into Lu Ming's forehead and into his sea of consciousness. Get out! Lu Ming roared and closed his eyes. His mind also appeared in his sea of consciousness, condensing a figure in his sea of consciousness. The dozen or so spirit deities appeared in his sea of consciousness and emitted various powerful auras. Kill? One of the spirit deities emitted a strong lightning aura. It seemed to have no intelligence as it directly charged towards Lu Ming. It was fast, extremely fast. What a strong concept of lightning. These spirit deities are completely condensed from energy and the concept of heaven and earth. Their original owner's consciousness has been destroyed, leaving only their instinct to kill humans. Lu Ming's heart stirred. He immediately simulated the suppressing hell heaven skill and punched out. Boom. Lu Ming's body went numb and he was sent flying. His body almost dissipated. Kill? At this moment, another spirit deity turned into a fiery light. An incomparably rich concept of fire pervaded the air and charged towards Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming exchanged a blow with it. His body seemed to be burning as he was sent flying. Bursts of intense pain came from his body. These spirit deities wanted to obliterate Lu Ming's mind and spirit. If Lu Ming's spirit was destroyed, it would be equivalent to Lu Ming's death. Whoosh. A golden light cut through the boundless clouds in the sea of consciousness and slashed towards Lu Ming. Concept of gold. These spirit deities' concepts were all at the fourth level and were incomparably powerful. The fourth level of the concept of heaven and earth was the highest. These people had already grasped the highest level of concept. It was unknown how many times stronger it was than a third-level concept. Lu Ming's body was directly cut in half by the golden light. A sharp pain that penetrated into the soul came from Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body that was cut in half rapidly retreated and reformed in the distance. However, his face was very pale. In the sea of consciousness, his body was condensed by his mind. Even if it was cut in half, it could still reform. However, that sharp pain was real. His current situation was very dangerous. In the sea of consciousness, his body could indeed reform at will. However, once he couldn't bear the pain and his spirit dissipated, his body would no longer be able to reform. It would also mean that he had died. This was a test of his will. My will is firm. How can I be destroyed by you? Lu Ming growled. His eyes were incomparably firm. Whoosh, whoosh. Two spirit deities rushed towards Lu Ming. Kill. In my sea of consciousness, let's see who will kill who. Lu Ming roared and rushed towards the few spirit deities. After a few moves, Lu Ming was still cut in half. However, he reformed in the distance. His will was firm and unmoved. He continued to fight. He displayed all his skills in the sea of consciousness and engaged in a great battle with more than a dozen spirit deities. His will was unwavering. No matter how great the pain was, he remained unmoved and fought with all his might. In the beginning, Lu Ming was completely at a disadvantage and almost didn't have the strength to fight back. However, the more Lu Ming fought, the braver he became. He became more and more accustomed to this kind of battle in the sea of consciousness. 10 days later, Lu Ming seriously injured a spirit deity with the concept of fire with a punch and broke his arm. The broken arm actually turned into the concept of fire and entered Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's comprehension of the concept of fire had increased a little. It can be done like this? Then all of you will become my nourishment. Lu Ming's eyes emitted a bright light. His fighting spirit was high as he fought with these spirit deities. Time passed day by day. Lu Ming's body was still holding the totem pole. He stood motionless in the cave. His true dragon battle art was actually operating automatically. Like a vortex, it was absorbing the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and origin chi from the surroundings. His cultivation base was slowly rising. Chapter 947. Time flew by quickly. 1 month, 2 months, Lu Ming had no idea how much time had passed. What he knew was that he had been fighting with dozens of spirit gods. His willpower was incomparably firm. No matter how it was scattered, he could recover. He was as firm as a boulder, invincible. As for the dozen or so spirit deities, they were defeated and scattered by Lu Ming one after another. The amazing thing was that the conception of the spirit deities would be integrated into Lu Ming's concept runes. His mastery of a certain concept rune would be greatly enhanced. The dozens of spirit gods contained all kinds of conceptions. Boom, boom. Unknowingly, there was only one spirit god left in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. This spirit god has comprehended the concept of earth. What a strong defense. Lu Ming was somewhat speechless. This spirit god used the concept of earth to protect his body like a tortoise shell and was the hardest to deal with. Lu Ming continued to fight with this spirit god. Slowly 3 days passed. Finally, Lu Ming broke through the spirit god's defense and defeated the spirit god. Lu Ming felt that his concept of Earth had also increased by a lot. Haha, that old three-eyed god originally wanted to harm me. Who would have thought that it would help me instead? My 4 kinds of conceptions have all increased by a large amount. Lu Ming laughed. With a thought, he returned to his body. He realized that he was still hugging the totem pole and standing there. I don't know how long I have fought with those spirit gods. Feels like a long time has passed. However, the battle of destiny shouldn't have ended. Otherwise, I would have been teleported out. Lu Ming thought to himself. My cultivation? Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart trembled violently. He sensed and instantly realized that the true origin in his body was surging violently. It was unbelievably strong and was much stronger than before. 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. This is the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Lu Ming was dumbstruck. His eyes revealed a look of disbelief. He had only destroyed dozens of spirit gods in his sea of consciousness, and his cultivation had actually increased by 3 levels. From the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, he had stepped into the early stage of the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. This was simply inconceivable. Look at my concept. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, then he was overjoyed. His 3 concepts of wind, fire, and thunder had all reached the peak of the 3rd level. He was only 1 step away from the 3rd level of perfection. The concept of Earth was slightly weaker, but it had also reached the late stage of level 3 greater mastery. The improvement was too great. How long has it been? My cultivation has increased by so much? This is too shocking. Lu Ming thought to himself. At the same time, he was incomparably happy. This was an opportunity, a great opportunity. What powerful strength. With my current combat strength, I could definitely kill Luo Tian easily if I met him before. Lu Ming felt the majestic energy in his body, and his eyes were filled with anticipation. Of course, this was referring to the Luo Tian of the past. It was unknown how much time had passed, and whether Luo Tian's cultivation had improved or not. There's something down there. At this time, Lu Ming noticed something strange under the totem pole. With a thought, the totem pole was put into his storage ring. At the place where the totem pole was uprooted, there was a pit. At the bottom of the pit, he could see a piece of metal with strange patterns on it. This piece of metal seemed to be very big. Only a part of it was exposed at the pit. The rest was covered by the rocks on the ground. Lu Ming pried open the rocks and discovered that this was not a piece of metal, but a huge metal box. Lu Ming took out the metal box. What was in this metal box? Lu Ming was curious and opened the metal box. Inside the metal box, there were 2 jade statues that were about the same height as humans. Yes, jade statues as if they were carved out of huge jade. The jade statues emitted a shocking amount of life essence. Lu Ming's pupils shrank rapidly. He thought of a treasure heaven and earth jade essence. Yes, these were not jade statues carved out of jade, but heaven and earth jade essence. Heaven and earth jade essence was said to be a kind of supreme jade. After countless years, it absorbed the essence of heaven and earth, and by chance, it gave birth to a kind of life form. If such a life form fully awakened its intelligence and matured, it would be extremely terrifying. Legend had it that a long time ago, a mature heaven and earth jade essence was born in the eastern wilderness. It was extremely terrifying and peerless. It could compete with martial emperors and was even stronger than them. It had once stirred up a storm of blood in the eastern wilderness. In the end, it was killed by an even stronger existence. It was extremely difficult for such a heaven and earth jade essence to mature completely. Once it matured, it would be invincible. However, a heaven and earth jade essence that had not matured and had not awakened its intelligence was a rare supreme treasure. It could really be described as rare in the world. That was because a heaven and earth jade essence could be combined with some other materials to refine a perfect physical body. If a spirit god expert was nearing the end of his lifespan, he could attach his spirit god to a physical body refined from a heaven and earth jade and live another life. How precious was that? Lu Ming actually obtained 2 here. Lu Ming's heart started thumping. At this moment he thought of Supreme Nine Yang. If Supreme Nine Yang had this heaven and earth jade essence, he could completely reform his physical body and return to the world. That's great. At this moment Lu Ming was extremely excited. He was 10 times, no, 100 times more excited than when he found out that his cultivation had improved greatly. Along the way, Supreme Nine Suns had helped him too much. His achievements today were all thanks to Supreme Nine Suns. Otherwise, he would still be a cripple from the Lu family of the Blazing Sun Empire's Windfire City. He might have been killed by others long ago. There was one thing that had always been on his mind. He wanted to find a treasure for Supreme Nine Yang to reform his physical body. Now he had finally found it. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed his excited heart. There's another jade talisman. Lu Ming discovered a jade talisman beside the two heaven and earth jade essences. Lu Ming picked it up and took a look. He knew that it was a type of jade talisman that recorded a cultivation technique or something. Lu Ming scanned it with his mind and discovered that it was a secret technique. The twin life restriction. That was the name of the secret technique. What a strange name. Lu Ming began to read the contents. At one glance, Lu Ming was taken aback. He widened his eyes in shock. What a wonderful secret technique. What a strange secret technique. What a shocking secret technique. Lu Ming exclaimed. According to the records of the Forbidden Twin Lives technique, this secret technique was actually capable of turning one person into two. Indeed, there was a huge difference between cultivating two people and cultivating clones in the legends. Using the heaven and earth jade essences as materials, one soul could be split into two and another person would be created. That person would become the second body and the main body would become the main body. This was completely different from a clone. Normally speaking, a clone could only have a portion of the main body's combat strength and could not cultivate. It would always be the same strength that it had when it was cultivated. However, the twin life restriction was different. The second body was basically the same as the main body, with the same strength and aura. It could even cultivate on its own and communicate with each other. This was terrifying. It was simply heaven-defying. This meant that there were two people cultivating. The only difference was that the second body had no consciousness. It was controlled by the main body and had no distracting thoughts. It could only focus on cultivation. This was even faster than the main body's cultivation. Moreover, if the main body died, the consciousness could be awakened in the second body. This was equivalent to having an extra life. How heaven-defying was this? Chapter 948. Moreover, the twin life restriction also had a success rate. If the first attempt was unsuccessful, the second attempt would be much more dangerous. Amazing, too amazing. No wonder there are two sets of heaven and earth jade essence here. They were prepared for the twin life restriction. Lu Ming was amazed. His heart palpitated with excitement. Anyone who saw such a heaven-defying secret technique would be tempted. Coincidentally, there are two sets of heaven and earth jade essence. One is for Senior Jianghu, and the other is for me to cultivate the twin life restriction. If I don't succeed in the first attempt, then forget it. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then he carefully closed the metal box and put it away. Naturally, such a secret technique could not be cultivated now. Other than the heaven and earth jade essence, other materials were needed, especially materials to nourish the soul. He could only cultivate it after the Battle of Providence was over. Let's look at the Book of Providence. With a thought, the Book of Providence appeared. Lu Ming discovered that his luck points had increased to more than 300,000. In other words, this trip to Sky Poison Island had increased his luck points by more than 200,000. This time it was truly a great opportunity. 9 totem poles have appeared? Lu Ming's eyes suddenly narrowed. He realized that the Book of Providence had indicated that 9 totem poles had appeared. There was only 1 totem pole left before he could open the ancient city of Providence. It seems that quite a lot of time has passed. The Battle of Providence will probably end soon. Lu Ming estimated that he had stayed here for at least a few months. It's time to go out. After putting away the items, Lu Ming looked around. After confirming that there was nothing else, Lu Ming strode out. Walking out of the cave, the outside was still filled with dense poisonous gas. Lu Ming unleashed his devouring power and covered his body to resist the poisonous gas. Then he strode out. After leaving the cave, Lu Ming's footsteps became faster and faster. He crossed thousands of miles in the blink of an eye. After a few thousand miles, poisonous insects began to appear. However, Lu Ming's cultivation had improved greatly, and his combat strength was much stronger than before. Naturally, he passed through them easily. Along the way, he found many spiritual herbs and picked them. Not long after, Lu Ming arrived at the heavenly poison island. On the surface of the lake, thick green poisonous gas floated. The poisonous gas would only dissipate once every 3 months. Obviously, it was not time for that yet. No, I can't wait any longer. If I'm still 10 days away from the Battle of Providence, I'll miss it if I stay here. If I rush out, the mountain and river diagram should be able to resist it, right? With a thought, Lu Ming entered the mountain and river diagram. There was only one mountain and river diagram floating in the air. Lu Ming was in the mountain river diagram. He controlled the mountain river diagram and flew toward the surface of the lake. Suddenly, the mountain river diagram was surrounded by poisonous gas. Fortunately, the materials of the mountain and river diagram were extraordinary and of a very high grade. They successfully resisted the invasion of the poisonous gas. Soon, the mountain and river diagram crossed the lake and returned to the shore. Lu Ming emerged from the mountain and river diagram and put it away. Phew, I'm finally out. Let's go find Qi Shui and the others and see how long it is until the Battle of Providence ends. I wonder what happened during this time. With this thought in mind, Lu Ming turned into a streak of light and flew away. During this time he sent a message to Bai Qi Shui Wen Yuezhang and the others, but it did not go through. It seemed that the distance was too far. Lu Ming could only fly and search for them at the same time. After flying for an entire day covering a distance of several million miles, Lu Ming did not run into a single person. Not only did he not run into a single person, he did not even run into the three-eyed divine tribe. Strange, something's not right. I've flown for several million miles, it's impossible that I didn't run into a single person. Lu Ming frowned, feeling that something was amiss. He returned to the place where Bai Qi Shui and the others had gathered. There was also no one there. Clearly they had left long ago. I don't believe it. Let's go to the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city and capture a few of them to ask about the situation. With a thought, Lu Ming flew in the direction of the three-eyed divine tribe's royal city according to the map he had obtained from the three-eyed divine tribe. The three-eyed divine tribe's royal city was located at the center of this world. Lu Ming flew for an entire day before he reached the royal city's territory. Whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly there were two blood-red lights in front of him, shooting towards the north. Just as Lu Ming was about to chase after them, the two rays of light suddenly stopped and flew towards Lu Ming. The rays of light scattered and two young men appeared. The two young men were wearing blood-red robes and carrying long sabers on their backs. Their bodies emitted a powerful bloody saber intent. Could they be from the Heavenly Corpse sect? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stared at the two young men without saying a word. Haha, there's someone from the Divine Wilderness continent here who dares to run around by himself. Let's kill him and his luck points will belong to us. A young man with a large mole on his chin looked coldly at Lu Ming. His luck points will belong to you and his storage ring will belong to me. The other young man spoke as if Lu Ming was dead for sure. Lu Ming's heart jolted as thoughts raced through his mind. They called me someone from the Divine Wilderness continent? People from the Divine Wilderness continent would never call me that. Could it be that these two aren't from the Divine Wilderness continent? But how is that possible? Lu Ming's heart was in turmoil. Since ancient times, the War of Providence had always been carried out in different places. The 5 large territories of the Divine Wilderness continent had fought separately and had never fought together. Furthermore, they were people from other continents overseas. Now, how could people from other continents appear? It seemed that something had happened outside while Lu Ming was on the Sky Poison Island. This kid isn't speaking. Could he be a mute? The young man with the mole on his chin sneered. Who cares? Let's just kill him. The other young man said. Where are you from? At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly spoke. Hee, so you're not a mute? Since death is near, there's no harm in telling you. We're from the Blood Blade continent. Die, kid. The young man with the mole sneered as his blade intent soared into the sky. A blood-red blade aura that was 1,000 meters long slashed violently at Lu Ming. The two young men had extremely powerful auras, having reached the 5th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. If they had been before Lu Ming had entered the Sky Poison Island, they would have been ranked around 40 or 50 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Bam! Lu Ming waved his hand slightly, and the blood-red blade aura collapsed. This caused the two young men's expressions to change. The two young men's eyes turned solemn when they saw how easily the blade aura of the young man with the mole was shattered. Blood Blade Continent? Why are you here? Also, where are the geniuses of the Divine Wilderness continent? Lu Ming stepped forward, his eyes cold as he asked a few questions. Kid, go to hell and ask. The young man with the mole shouted coldly, his killing intent exploding. His blood chi soared into the sky, transforming into a huge battle saber. This technique was similar to the one practiced by Bloodsword 7 of the Heavenly Corpse sect, but the one practiced by the people of the Blood Blade continent was purer. Attack together. Chapter 949. Whoosh, whoosh. Two blood-colored astral sabers slashed down at Lu Ming with terrifying might. Lu Ming snorted coldly as he took a step forward and sent out two palm strikes. With two crisp sounds, the two blood-colored astral saber lights shattered. The two youths from the Blood Saber continent narrowed their eyes in shock. The two of them had used almost all their strength in the earlier two slashes. However, they were easily defeated by Lu Ming. Not good. It's a peak expert. Run. The black mold youth shouted as he turned and ran. The other youth did the same. They knew that they had met a peak genius of the divine desolate continent. Lu Ming snorted coldly and stepped forward. His body was like a ray of light as he caught up to the two youths and sent out two palm strikes. Although the two youths did their best to block, they still vomited blood and crashed into the ground, leaving behind a huge crater. Lu Ming landed and a powerful aura enveloped the two youths. He said coldly, "Speak. Where are the people of the divine desolate continent? Don't even think about it. If I speak, won't I still die? Since I'm going to die, I won't speak." The black mold youth revealed a crazed look. At the same time, a bloody light flashed as if the blood in his body was burning. He roared and turned into a saber light as he charged in a certain direction. The other youth also revealed a crazed look as he turned into a saber light and charged in another direction. "You're courting death." Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and chased after the black mold youth. With Lu Ming's current cultivation, how fast could he be when using the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps? He caught up to the black mold youth in a few moments and punched, killing him. Following which, Lu Ming turned and charged at the other person. Kill. That person was incomparably crazy. Seeing that he could not escape, his eyes turned red as he charged at Lu Ming like a wild beast. However, the difference in strength was too great, so he was easily killed by Lu Ming. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The cultivation techniques of the Bloodblade Continent's people were tyrannical, and they didn't fear death. They were incomparably crazy. Lu Ming hadn't been able to get any information from them. The 9 dragons' bloodline appeared and devoured the essence blood of the two youths from the Bloodblade Continent. Just now the two of them headed north. Perhaps they'll find something there. With a thought, Lu Ming flew north. A million miles to the north of Lu Ming, a great battle was taking place in a mountain range. On a mountain peak, light flickered. It was incomparably dazzling and inscriptions filled the air. One after another, great formations appeared, forming a light shield that enveloped the mountain peak within. There were several hundred people on the mountain peak. All of them were disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect. A portion of them were sitting cross-legged, while the rest were continuously carving inscriptions around the mountain peak. The leader had a head of long silver hair and a pair of eyes. He was an illusion. With him as the leader there were also Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi, Shui Jimai and the others. Whoosh, whoosh. Outside the mountain peak, blood-red saber light flashed. It was incomparably terrifying, as if it was going to split the heavens and earth apart as it slashed towards Huanzhen and the others. The saber light slashed at the light shield, causing it to tremble continuously. Huanzhen and the others' bodies also trembled slightly. There were more than a dozen people around the mountain peak, but a few of them had shocking auras that were incomparably terrifying. Every one of them wore blood-red robes and carried blood-red sabers on their backs. They were dressed exactly the same as the two youths from the Bloodblade Continent that Lu Ming had encountered previously. "Talisman Puppet Sect, with your little strength, you can all die," a youth with blood-red hair said coldly. His strength was the most terrifying and his aura was powerful. When he slashed out with his saber, the light shield violently trembled. "Why are you so ruthless? Our Talisman Puppet Sect has no intention of fighting with you for the last totem pillar," Huanzhen said. "Hee, a bunch of flies. Looks like a hindrance. Moreover, you have quite a lot of luck points. You'll be a fat piece of meat if we snatch it." The youth with blood-red hair sneered. The other youths sneered as well. More than a dozen of them attacked together, slashing their saber light towards the mountain peak. When Yuezhang, Bai Qi, Shui and the others trembled slightly. They had exhausted a lot of their mental strength. If this continued, their mental strength would be exhausted. Once they lost the protection of the formation, the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect would only be tortured to death. The other party was too strong. This was only a portion of the people from the Bloodblade Continent, but there were 2 people who were at the same level as Huanzhen. Once the formation was broken, Huanzhen could only block one person, but the other person could easily kill the rest. Moreover, the other youths were also extremely powerful. Some people revealed bitter expressions. The battle of karmic luck this time had exceeded their expectations. There were actually heaven's prides from other continents participating. It was even more dangerous than the previous battles of karmic luck. If things went wrong, the Talisman Puppet Sect might be completely annihilated. Wait a moment. I'll inscribe a formation to block them with all my strength. Hurry up and leave. Huan Zhen suddenly transmitted his voice to Wen Yuezhang by Qi Shui and the others. Senior brother Huan Zhen, we can't leave together. Wen Yuezhang hurriedly said. If Huan Zhen stayed behind to block them alone, he would definitely be in danger. That's right. If we leave together. If we stay together. The others also shouted one after another. None of you can leave. Blood God's blade wheel. Break. The blood-red-haired youth shouted coldly. An even more terrifying aura exploded from his body. A giant blood-red wheel floated above his head. This blood-red wheel seemed to be formed by countless blood-red battle blades. It spun rapidly and was as large as a mountain, crushing towards the light barrier of the mountain peak. Not good. Hold on. Huan Zhen and the others' faces changed drastically. The mental fire between their eyebrows flickered rapidly, constantly spreading out and surging into the surrounding inscriptions. Boom. The blood-red wheel heavily slammed against the light barrier of the mountain peak. The earth rumbled and the mountain peak shook violently. The light barrier that enveloped the mountain peak continuously shattered layer by layer. Huan Zhen and the others' faces changed drastically. Their bodies trembled and some of the weaker ones even spurted out a mouthful of blood. Those disciples who were sitting cross-legged or recovering from their injuries also stood up to help protect the formation. However, the blood-red wheel was too terrifying. It spun continuously like countless battle blades, constantly slashing at the light barrier. Bam, bam, bam. The light barrier continued to shatter and it looked like it was about to shatter completely. Release the puppets and use the inscription scrolls to open a path. Charge out. Huan Zhen shouted. At this moment, with a boom, all the formations collapsed and the light barrier shattered. Numerous disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect released their puppets and surrounded everyone. At the same time, waves of inscription scrolls were activated. They either turned into defensive or offensive puppets as they all charged in the same direction. Trying to escape? All of you can die. The blood-red-haired youth controlled the giant wheel and pressed forward, causing countless puppets to explode. Dozens of blade lights slashed out, also attacking the puppets and the inscription scrolls. Although the Talisman Puppet Sect had a large number of disciples, most of them weren't strong and were far inferior to the top experts of the Blood Knife Continent. Among the dozens of disciples of the Blood Knife Continent, the weakest was a prodigy at the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. Ah. Chapter 950. Damn it. Huan Zhen and the others roared as they retaliated. However, the blood-haired youth had his eyes on Huan Zhen and was using the huge wheel to suppress him. No matter how strong Huan Zhen was, he could only barely protect himself. Haha die. A skinny monkey-like youth from the Bloodblade continent had an extremely nimble movement technique. He was like a nimble flying knife that constantly flickered as saber light swept out, shattering a few puppets and sending out a few bolts of lightning, killing a Talisman Puppet Sect disciple with a single strike. Then he took a deep breath and absorbed the blood of the Talisman Puppet Sect's disciples through his nose. Haha, how delicious. Such blood chi. The skinny youth's face was filled with enjoyment as his gaze became even more sinister. Whoosh. Right at this moment, a spear ray tore through the sky from the south. It was extremely fast as it stabbed towards the skinny youth. What's that? The skinny youth was startled and immediately wanted to dodge. However, he discovered that he was completely locked onto by the spear ray. A terrifying killing intent enveloped him and he had nowhere to run. He could only use his full strength to resist. A terrifying blade ray slashed out from the skinny youth's hand, but when it collided with the spear ray, the blade ray shattered and the spear ray shot out and pierced through the skinny youth's throat. The skinny youth's eyes were wide open and filled with unwillingness before he died. Whoosh, whoosh. Over a dozen spear rays flew over from the distance and stabbed towards the Bloodblade continent's geniuses. Several miserable cries rang out as several experts of the Bloodblade continent were killed. Oh, damn it. The blood-haired youth roared as he controlled the huge wheel to block the remaining spear rays. The other geniuses of the Bloodblade continent were startled and they did not continue to kill the Talisman Puppet Sect's disciples. Instead, they gathered around the blood-haired youth and looked in the direction of the spear ray. Huan Zhen and the others did the same as they all looked in that direction. Who would come to save the Talisman Puppet Sect? A blue-robed youth stepped through the air and appeared before everyone's eyes. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Bai Qi Shui was the first to cry out. The one who had attacked earlier was Lu Ming, who had come all the way from the south. He had come all the way north and did not expect to encounter the Bloodblade Continent's experts attacking the Talisman Puppet Sect's disciples. Needless to say, the two youths from the Bloodblade Continent had most likely come as reinforcements. Lu Ming isn't dead. When Yuezhang, Gong Fei and the others were overjoyed. Previously, on Sky Poison Island, Lu Ming had gone all the way and hadn't returned. Later on, when the island was sealed by the poison gas, everyone who hadn't died had left Sky Poison Island. However, Lu Ming hadn't come out. When Yuezhang and Gong Fei thought that Lu Ming had met with an accident in the depths of the Heavenly Poison Island and died. After they brought the news back, the Talisman Puppet Cult disciples lamented, and Bai Qi and Shui cried a few times. Only now did they feel better. Unexpectedly, Lu Ming actually didn't die and even appeared at this time. Lu Ming, hurry up and leave this place. Bai Qi Snow's complexion suddenly changed, shouting loudly. Lu Ming, leave now. When Yuezhang also shouted. Although Lu Ming was strong, Lu Ming had easily killed several geniuses of the 4th level of Spirit Embryo Realm. This was enough to prove that Lu Ming's strength had improved again. However, they were definitely no match for people like the blood-haired youth. Their strength was enough to fight against the top 10 of the list of top 1,000 talents. Even Huan Zhen was at a disadvantage. Wasn't Lu Ming courting death by coming here? It's too late for you to leave now. You must pay with your life for killing my people. The blood-haired youth's voice was incomparably cold. A huge knife wheel floated above his head, emitting a terrifying aura. It was a powerful secret treasure. Those who killed my Talisman Puppet Cult disciples must all die. Lu Ming didn't retreat, continuing to walk forward step by step. His voice was even colder than the blood-haired youth's. Shameless boasting. I'll kill him. A burly young man stepped out. He was more than 2 meters tall and was 2 heads taller than Lu Ming. The muscles on his body bulged and he was filled with explosive power. He held a huge sword in his hand that was as big as a door and stared at Lu Ming like a wild beast. Swoosh. He held the sword with both hands and rushed towards Lu Ming, slashing down with his knife. The 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm was this youth's cultivation. A dragon's roar rang out as Lu Ming exploded with a burst of dragon power. Scales covered his entire body as he punched out. Clang. The fist hit the huge knife, causing it to vibrate. Then, to everyone's horror, it collapsed, sending metal shards flying everywhere. Lu Ming didn't stop, nor did his fist. He continued to attack. Bam. The fist landed on the burly youth's body. The youth screamed as a huge hole appeared in his chest. He was killed instantly. The devouring power in his hand exploded, turning the burly youth into a dried corpse. So strong, Lu Ming Zongzi is so strong. A disciple of the Talisman Puppet Sect said excitedly. A peerless prodigy of the 6th level of Spirit Embryo Realm was killed by Lu Ming with a single punch. What kind of battle power did Lu Ming have? Bai Qi Shui and the rest stared with their eyes wide open. Lu Ming's battle power is much stronger than 5 months ago. When Yuezhang said, then can he be a match for those people? Bai Qi Shui looked at the blood-haired youth with a worried expression. I don't know. When Yuezhang shook his head. At this moment, the youths of the Blood Knife Continent were all staring with their eyes wide open. The blood-haired youth's expression also turned serious. Kill? Lu Ming shouted. His battle intent was like a rainbow, and his killing intent was like a tide. His body was like lightning as he charged towards the youth of the Blood Knife Continent. Let's attack together and kill him. The blood-haired youth shouted as he controlled the huge knife wheel to attack Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella lit up, and the mountain river diagram appeared. It grew rapidly and surrounded the huge knife wheel. The huge knife wheel kept spinning and attacking, but it couldn't break the defense of the mountain river diagram. Damn it, I can still kill you without the knife wheel. The blood-haired youth shouted coldly as he slashed out with the battle knife in his hand. There was another youth who was equally terrifying. He was at the 7th level of Spirit Embryo Realm, and his battle power was astonishing. He was no weaker than Devil Lord Luo Tian. Both of them were comparable to the top 10 of the list of top 1,000 talents. Brr. The bloodline of the 9 dragons appeared and roared. The devouring power exploded and enveloped all the youths of the Blood Knife Continent. Those with lower cultivations trembled, and their eyes were filled with shock. The vital essence and chi in their bodies became unstable and were about to be devoured. Bam. Bam. Lu Ming blasted out 5 palms and 6 kicks in an instant, killing 5 youths of the Blood Knife continent. He also killed one with his shoulder. Lu Ming had fought with more than a dozen spirit gods for a long time on Sky Poison Island. In addition to the increase in his cultivation, his use of martial techniques had also improved greatly. Now, every muscle and bone in his body could use the Hell-Suppressing Heaven skill. Even his hair could use the Hell-Suppressing Heaven skill. With a flick of his hair, it contained the supreme power to suppress the 9th Hell Prison. Chapter 951. That was to say, Lu Ming was 30% stronger than himself before he entered the Sky Poison Island in a battle of the same level. Before he entered the Sky Poison Island, he definitely wasn't a match for the current him. In other words, his ability to fight those of a higher level was even stronger. Boom, boom. 2 loud sounds rang out. Only the blood-haired youth and the other 2 strongest experts were able to contend against Lu Ming. However, their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. Lu Ming was actually able to kill other experts while fighting the 2 of them. His battle power was simply terrifying. Blade Chi soared into the sky as the remaining people unleashed their bloodlines. They were all blood-colored battle blade bloodlines, just that their levels were different. The blood-haired youth and the other youth had 6 golden chakras on their blades. 6th level divine level bloodline. The remaining people all had 5th level divine level bloodlines. The remaining people executed bloodline fusion at the same time, transforming into blood-colored battle blades with shocking blade intent. Lu Ming, let me help you. Huan Zhen stepped into the air, and with every step he took, inscriptions would spread out in the air. No need. Help me hold the line and prevent anyone from escaping. Lu Ming said. This caused Huan Zhen to be stunned. Was Lu Ming planning to leave all the people of the Blood Blade continent here? Wasn't he too confident? The other people of the Talisman Puppet sect also looked at each other in shock and anticipation. Such big words. Watch how I kill you. A furious voice came from one of the battle blades as it transformed into 1,000 meters long and slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure flashed and merged with the 9 dragons' bloodline. The 9 dragons' bloodline roared as it stepped out with its 9 claws. Boom, boom. Violent energy bombarded over. Other than the 2 blood blades of the 6th level divine level, the other blood blades all exploded and returned to their human forms. They fell to the ground lifelessly. As for the 2 blood blades of the 6th level divine level, their blade chi collapsed and they were sent flying. The 2 of them were at the 7th level of the spirit embryo realm and were on the same level as Lu Ming. How could they be a match for Lu Ming? At the same level, Lu Ming had never met a worthy opponent. Not good, he's too strong. Let's go split up. The crimson-haired youth's horrified voice came from a blood saber. Lu Ming's previous actions had far exceeded his expectations. Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 blood blades fled in 2 different directions at high speed. Where to? In one direction, a formation appeared, and Huan Zhen's figure suddenly appeared, blocking a blood saber. Out of the way. A voice came from the blood-red saber, and the saber light slashed toward Huan Zhen. Huan Zhen's silver hair danced in the wind, and silver light flashed in his eyes. Spell formations appeared around him, transforming into numerous silver swords that slashed toward the blood-red saber. Boom, boom. The crimson saber couldn't break through at all. Lu Ming transformed into 9 dragons. The dragon claw stepped on the air and caught up to the other blood saber. The blood-red saber was transformed from the blood-haired young man. The 9 dragons clawed at the blood blade. Seeing that it couldn't escape, the blood-red saber roared and slashed at the 9 dragons. But under the 9 dragons' unstoppable dragon claws, the saber chi was shattered. Clang, clang. The 9 dragon claws grabbed the blood-red saber and pulled with all their might. The blood-red saber shattered into pieces, and the blood-haired young man's figure reappeared in the air. At this moment, his face was filled with panic and his eyes were filled with horror. The 9 dragons twisted their bodies and charged toward him. Even if you can kill me, I won't let you have it easy. The blood-haired young man revealed a ferocious expression as he charged toward Lu Ming without fear of death. It was a pity that there was a huge gap between his combat ability and Lu Ming's. It was not something that could be made up for by being fearless. In just a few moves he was struck by Lu Ming into pieces and died tragically on the spot. Then, the dragon twisted its body and charged toward the last youth from the Blood Blade continent. The outcome was destined. With Lu Ming and Huan Zhen, the young man was killed in a few moves. Not far away, the disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect were silent. Their eyes widened in shock. A group of powerful youths from the Blood Blade continent who had followed Lu Ming were killed in an instant. Among them, there were 2 overwhelming geniuses who were comparable to the top 10 on the list of top 1,000 talents. But even they were killed by Lu Ming. This was simply unbelievable. They felt as if they were in a dream. The disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect who had been with Lu Ming were more shocked. But those who hadn't seen Lu Ming since the Battle of Providence were even more shocked. Before the Battle of Providence, although Lu Ming was strong, there was still a huge gap between him and the top 10 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Not many people thought that Lu Ming could compete with them. First, Lu Ming could kill them. After the shock, they were ecstatic. Lu Ming was a Zhongzi candidate of the Talisman Puppet sect. The stronger he was, the stronger the Talisman Puppet sect would be. The 9 Dragons bloodline erupted with a devouring power and devoured all the true yuan and blood essence of the people from the Blood Blade continent. Now, Lu Ming didn't have to worry about using the 9 Dragons bloodline. After devouring, Lu Ming returned to his human form. Lu Ming, thank you so much. Huan Zhen cupped his fists. His eyes were full of surprise. Lu Ming's progress was too great. This was the truth. When he first met Lu Ming, although Huan Zhen was very polite, that was just his character. In his heart, he did not expect Lu Ming to be able to reach this stage. He also did not treat Lu Ming as a genius of his level. But now, not only had Lu Ming reached this level, his strength had probably surpassed Huan Zhen's. You don't have to thank me. Fortunately, I'm not late. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, where have you been all this time? Why didn't I see you? The other disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect also gathered around. Bai Qi glared at Lu Ming, her eyes filled with joy and resentment. Yeah, Lu Ming, our little Qi Shui has been very worried about you. She missed you so much that she didn't even eat or drink. Ah. When Yuezhang joked at the side. Senior brother, when you're talking nonsense. What does his life have to do with me? Bai Qi Shui stamped her feet and her face turned red. Haha, you're shy. When Yuezhang laughed. The others on the side also laughed. They were very relaxed after escaping death. Bai Qi Shui's face turned even redder. Even her neck was red and she didn't dare to look at Lu Ming. Looking at Bai Qi Shui's shy expression, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he knew something was wrong. This girl can't have fallen for me, right? Looks like I can't tease her in the future. Lu Ming thought to himself. What's wrong with the people of the Blood Blade continent? Why are we being attacked by the people of the Blood Blade continent? Also, how long is it until the 1-year period of the Battle of Providence? Lu Ming quickly changed the topic and asked. As he spoke, he refined the energy that he had devoured. Most of the youths of the Blood Blade continent cultivated the blood intent or the saber intent, which was useless to him. Lu Ming, there are only 5 days left until the 1-year period of the Battle of Providence. Illusion and Reality Dao. 5 days. I've actually stayed on the Sky Poison Island for more than 5 months. Chapter 952. Although he had guessed that he had spent quite some time on the Sky Poison Island, he hadn't expected it to have been more than 5 months. If he had been a little later, the battle of karmic luck would have ended. No wonder his cultivation had soared so much. It wasn't too fast for him to have risen by 3 levels in the past 5 months. After all, he had the bloodline of the 9 dragons. If he had fought the 3-eyed divine race outside, he might have risen by 2 or 3 levels. Lu Ming, you went deep into the Sky Poison Island and didn't return. The poisonous gas inside was too strong and we couldn't enter. We were really afraid that something would happen to you. What happened to you on the Sky Poison Island? When Yuezhang asked, Lu Ming immediately told them about his encounter with the spirit gods of the 3-eyed divine race. Everyone clicked their tongues in wonder. Lu Ming had actually been attacked by a dozen spirit gods of the 3-eyed divine race on the Sky Poison Island and fought in his sea of consciousness for several months. In the end, his cultivation had improved greatly. It was truly miraculous. One had to know that after an ordinary spirit god lost their physical body, their spirit god wouldn't be able to stay in the world for long before dissipating. Only some unique treasures could allow the spirit god to remain. The totem pole on the Sky Poison Island was probably such a treasure. However, there was also something strange about it. The totem poles of the other 8 forbidden lands didn't have any spirit gods attached to them. Lu Ming guessed that it was most likely related to the Sky Poison Island. There wasn't a trace of poisonous gas in the cave. Instead, it was filled with spiritual energy and origin energy. When Yuezhang was good with words, so he began to explain what had happened during this period. About half a month ago, the 9 forbidden lands had all been cracked and the 9 totem poles had been obtained. Only the last totem pole was left in the three-eyed divine race's royal city. As long as they obtained the last totem pole, they would be able to open the ancient city of karmic luck. But at this time, the geniuses of another continent had appeared. They were the geniuses of the Bloodblade continent. As soon as the geniuses of the Bloodblade continent entered, they began a massacre. Many geniuses of the 4 overlord forces were killed. After the massacre, they knew that the geniuses of the Bloodblade continent were also participating in the battle of karmic luck. They had also completed their previous mission. Their final goal was actually the last totem pole in the three-eyed divine race's royal city. If the Blood Knife continent obtained the totem pole, they would be able to open their ancient city of Providence. Whichever side obtained the last totem pole would be able to open the ancient city of Providence. Those who did not obtain it would be considered a failure. The geniuses of the Blood Knife continent were very powerful. They were even slightly stronger than those of the Eastern Barren Territory. Most importantly, the geniuses of the Blood Knife continent were very united. They seemed to be from the same faction. On the other hand, the 4 overlords of the Eastern Wilderness were too scattered. Thus, they suffered a crushing defeat at the beginning. In the end, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse sect, and the Sky Demon Valley had joined forces. Only then did they have the strength to contend against the Bloodblade continent. As for the Talisman Puppet sect, they were directly excluded by the 3 great powers. Rejecting the Talisman Puppet sect's participation was very obvious. They wanted to borrow the hand of the Bloodblade continent to completely destroy the Talisman Puppet sect. The people of the Talisman Puppet sect had been hiding under the lead of Huan Zhen and the other Zhongzi candidates. But they were still found by the Bloodblade continent 2 days ago, which led to the previous battle. Sigh, it's a pity that Guan Tao, Lu Song and the others all died in battle. When Yue Zhang sighed. Guan Tao and Lu Song were the top 100 geniuses of the Talisman Puppet sect on the list of top 1,000 geniuses. They were also one of the 13 Zhongzi candidates. Lu Ming's gaze swept across the people of the Talisman Puppet sect and realized that many of them were missing. Out of the 13 Zhongzi candidates of the Talisman Puppet sect, only 6 were present. 7 were missing. And there were only slightly more than 300 people of the Talisman Puppet sect present. Are these all that's left of the Talisman Puppet sect? Lu Ming asked. Almost. Even if some of them are still in the ruins, there are definitely not many of them. When Yue Zhang sighed. The other disciples of the Talisman Puppet sect were also dejected. The Talisman Puppet sect had sent a total of about 1,000 people, but now there were only about 300 of them left. It was an extremely heavy loss. One had to know that these were the elites of the younger generation of the Talisman Puppet sect. In every battle of Providence, there would be a large number of geniuses who died in battle. However, in every battle of Providence, the various factions would send all of their geniuses into the battle of Providence. This was because once someone obtained a great opportunity, all the sacrifices would be worth it. For example, Bai Qi Shui had obtained the martial emperor's inheritance this time. Even if a few hundred people died in battle, it would be worth it. The martial emperor's inheritance was extremely precious. Not only could it provide the Talisman Puppet sect with many different formations and inscriptions, but Bai Qi Shui's future was limitless. Even if she couldn't reach the martial emperor's height in the future, it would be worth it as long as she could become a martial emperor. Let's leave this place first. I'm afraid that the other geniuses of the Bloodblade continent will soon know that a genius of the Bloodblade continent has been killed. When that time comes, we will be in real danger. Illusion Reality Dao. That's right. When Yue Zhang nodded. All of you, enter the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming waved his hand and the mountain and river diagram flew towards Lu Ming. As for the saber wheel, it had lost its master and remained motionless in the air. Lu Ming casually put it away. Illusion Reality and the others had long heard that Lu Ming had a treasure like the mountain and river diagram. They were overjoyed when they heard this. As long as they entered the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming could bring them to a place by himself. The people of the Bloodblade continent would definitely not be able to find them. Immediately, the people of the Talisman Puppet sect were sucked into the mountain and river diagram. Lu Ming put away the mountain and river diagram and turned into a beam of light, leaving this place. In a valley millions of miles away, Lu Ming appeared and released the people of the Talisman Puppet sect. Some of the disciples who were injured began to treat their injuries. Those who weren't injured began to carve formations in the surroundings. There were only 5 days left until the 1-year deadline. They no longer planned to search for any more opportunities. They just needed to wait for the last 5 days to pass. Right now, the geniuses of the Blood Blade continent and the geniuses of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and the 3 great forces should be near the Monarch City, waiting for an opportunity to seize the last totem pole, right? Lu Ming asked. That's right. There are still 5 days left. They will definitely make a move during these few days. Otherwise they won't have a chance. If they don't seize the last totem pole, then the luck points they obtain during this period will be wasted. The top geniuses will definitely be unwilling to accept this. Illusion Reality nodded. Actually, the Bloodsaber continent and the 3-party alliance had already attacked Royal City in the past. However, there were extremely formidable existences in Royal City. They were experts that were infinitely close to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm, and they were experts that could charge into the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm at will. Last time, such an expert had made a move and forcefully advanced into the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm, and he killed a few formidable geniuses from both sides. However, in the end, that expert from the 3-eyed divine race exploded apart and perished. He should have been suppressed to death by the laws of heaven and earth of this world. When Yuezhang explained, Lu Ming nodded. It was normal for the 3-eyed god race to have such existences. The spiritual god realm experts that Lu Ming encountered on the Sky Poison Island were all old men of the 3-eyed god race who were nearing the end of their lifespans. They had no choice but to take a risk and try to break through to the spiritual god realm. In the end, they were suppressed. Chapter 953. Such existences were extremely powerful, and ordinary members of the 3-eyed divine race couldn't compare to them. Because anyone who could break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm was a genius among geniuses. The foundation for human cultivators to break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm was to awaken a God-grade bloodline. Without awakening a God-grade bloodline, there was a 99% chance that one could break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm. Only those who had awakened a God-grade bloodline were qualified to break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm. However, that was merely the qualification. In order to truly break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm, many who had awakened a God-grade bloodline would fail. Of course, the higher the grade of the God-grade bloodline awakened, the higher the success rate. Domain Enlightened Spirit Gods had a lifespan of 5,000 years. How many Domain Enlightened Spirit Gods had accumulated over the past 5,000 years in the Eastern Wilderness? Very few. How many of them had awakened a God-grade bloodline in this generation of young people? There were 300 on the list of top 1,000 geniuses alone, and there were also new geniuses. If those with God-grade bloodlines could break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm, then there would be hundreds of them in this generation. How could that be possible? Even if this generation was a golden age, it would be very good if there were 100 or 200 people who could break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm. Many God-grade geniuses might not be able to break through to the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm. So, it could be said that those that were capable of breaking through into the Domain Enlightened Spirit God realm were geniuses amongst geniuses, and their strengths were extremely formidable. With such existences residing in the royal clan of the 3-eyed divine clan, it would absolutely not be so easy for these two powers to seize the final totem pillar. Lu Ming, are you going to fight for the last totem pole? Asked Huanzhen. A trace of a smile appeared on the corners of Lu Ming's mouth and he said, why not? Perhaps I'll be able to benefit from their fight. With your combat strength you might have a chance. Unfortunately, I was injured in the previous battle so I can't help you, said Huanzhen. There's no need for that. I'm just going to take a look. It's easier to hide alone. If there's a chance, I'll wait for an opportunity to make a move. If not, then forget it, Lu Ming said with a smile. Huanzhen pondered for a moment, and then an inscription talisman scroll appeared in his hand. He handed it to Lu Ming and said, Lu Ming, this is a unique inscription talisman scroll I obtained. If you activate it with your spirit fire, it will be able to form 8 people who look exactly like you. And of the same aura of the same. Maybe it will be of help. Lu of the enlightened spirit gods of spirit god. This kind of inscription talisman was very precious. It could actually condense 8 people with the same aura as oneself. This could definitely save one's life at a critical moment. This was obviously a treasure that Huanzhen had obtained in this battle of luck. Lu Ming was very grateful that he was willing to give such a treasure to him. Huan Jin said with a smile. He was extraordinarily handsome. This was a handsome man that could make women jealous. Then I'll go to King City. If there's anything you can contact me at any time, Lu Ming said. He looked at Bai Qi Shui not far away and turned to leave. Lu Ming. Bai Qi Shui called out from behind. Miss Bai, don't worry. I'll be fine. Lu Ming smiled. He didn't say anything and headed towards King City. Why did he call me Miss Bai? Didn't he call me Qi Shui before? Bai Qi Shui looked at Lu Ming's departing back, lost in thought. There are rumors that Lu Ming started the Battle of Nine Dragon City because of a woman. Could that woman be Lu Ming's lover? Thinking of this, Bai Qi Shui sighed, her eyes a little sad. A beam of light cut through the sky, crossing 100 miles in an instant. Soon, Lu Ming returned to the territory of the three-eyed divine race's King City. He engraved an array formation to conceal his aura, and then continued forward. Soon, a magnificent city appeared in front of him. This was the King City of the three-eyed divine race. On the tall and magnificent city walls, there were three-eyed divine race soldiers patrolling day and night. Last time, when two sides of prodigies rushed into the King City, the three-eyed divine race's defense was even stricter. I'll wait here. I reckon that the two sides will attack in a few days. Lu Ming hid in a secret place, watching the King City from afar. 1 day, 2 days, time passed day by day, but the two sides didn't attack. Obviously, both sides had the same idea. They were waiting for the other side to attack first so that they could reap the benefits. On the last day, both sides finally couldn't hold back and attacked almost at the same time. From the north and south of King City, there were more than 100 beams of light that rushed towards King City. Both sides sent out more than 100 people each. Each of them was a prodigy among prodigies, extremely powerful existences. Enemy attack. Suddenly, a shocking roar came from the three-eyed divine race's King City. The entire King City erupted with powerful auras. Kill. Shouts shook the heavens. More than 100 people from the north and south rushed into the King City like a sharp knife. Every one of them was a prodigy that could kill opponents that were several levels higher than them. They were extremely powerful, especially top-notch prodigies like Luo Tian. They were extremely powerful and could easily kill those at the 9th level of the spirit embryo realm. Brilliant lights shone. Even though there were many people from the three-eyed divine race, they were all killed in an instant. The people from both sides rushed towards the center of King City. The few people in the lead are so powerful. Lu Ming watched from afar and his gaze froze. In the north was the allied army of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect and Sky Demon Valley. The few people in the lead were extremely powerful. When their attacks exploded, those in front of them were killed instantly. A golden-robed youth with a golden crown on his head had sword chi that soared into the sky. With a slash of his sword, those in front of him, no matter if they were at the 9th or 8th level of the spirit embryo realm, were all killed in one move. Lu Ming even found a powerful existence with a perfected spirit embryo that was killed in one move. Powerful, extremely powerful. This person's temperament is somewhat similar to Di Feng's. He should be the Emperor God, the top prodigy of the younger generation of the Eastern Wilderness human tribe. He is ranked first on the list of top 1,000 talents. There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes and a strong fighting spirit burst forth. The Emperor God was also the descendant of Martial Emperor Di. However, he was terrifyingly talented. Some people said that the Emperor God's talent was not inferior to Martial Emperor Di Yi's when he was young. Beside the Emperor God, Heavenly Corpse Sect and Sky Demon Valley also had powerful prodigies. In the south, Blood Knife Continent also had prodigies who were at the same level as the Emperor God. In just a few minutes, they had broken through various obstacles and were about to kill their way to the center of King City. How dare you barge in? You're courting death. Suddenly, a loud roar erupted from the center of King City. Then, a beam of light flashing with lightning struck toward the Emperor God. The Emperor God slashed out with his sword and destroyed the beam of light. However, his body was also blocked. Then, several beams of light burst out in succession, shooting toward the north and south. Blood Knife Continent and Eastern Wilderness were both under attack. There are indeed old men like you. You blocked the other members of the three-eyed divine tribe. The few of us will seize the totem pole. The Emperor God's voice rang out. Then, he and the strongest prodigies of the Heavenly Demon Tribe and Heavenly Corpse Sect charged forward. They seemed to have met their match. In King City, sword chi soared into the sky and saber light shattered the sky. Chapter 954. Looks like there are still people who are about to break through to the spirit god realm in the capital. Otherwise no one could stop the emperor and the rest. Lu Ming's gaze moved and he revealed a smile. Since the other party was strong, it gave him a chance. Lu Ming transformed into a phantom and rushed towards the capital. First he rushed from the north, the emperor and the god palace. Along the way he didn't meet any obstacles. The three-eyed god race was attracted to the center. Along the way he saw many corpses of the three-eyed god race. Swallow. Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline and started to swallow crazily. Of course he couldn't be bothered to swallow those whose levels were too low. He swallowed the corpses of the three-eyed god race that were at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm and above. The corpses of the three-eyed god race turned into dried corpses. Along the way he swallowed more than 30 corpses at the 7th level of spirit embryo realm, a dozen at the 8th level of spirit embryo realm, 5 to 6 at the 9th level of spirit embryo realm, and even 1 at the perfected level of spirit embryo realm. Their blood essence and energy were extremely abundant. Since both parties are still fighting, I'll find a place to refine. Lu Ming rushed into a small room and entered the mountain river diagram to refine the energy he had swallowed. Not long after, the 9 dragons let out a long roar, and another chakra appeared on the foundation of the 5 golden chakras. Bloodline of the 6th level of the god realm. The 9 dragons' bloodline finally rose by another level, reaching the 6th level of the god realm. With the rise of the 9 dragons' bloodline, the speed of refining energy increased by several times. Rumble. In his body, the vital essence rumbled and was incomparably majestic. The spirit embryo was continuously condensed and slowly shrunk. There seemed to be a powerful existence being nurtured in the spirit embryo. After an hour, all the energy in his body was completely refined. Peak of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Previously, his cultivation was at the early stage of the 7th level of spirit embryo realm. Now that he had reached the peak of the 7th level and had swallowed so many powerful three-eyed god race, Lu Ming was a little surprised that he hadn't broken through to the 8th level of spirit embryo realm. Instead, he had some breakthroughs in his conception. After exiting the mountain river diagram, there were still rumbling sounds coming from outside. It seemed that the battle was still going on. It's been more than an hour and the battle is still going on. Seems like the emperor and the rest have met a strong opponent. I'll go take a look. Lu Ming carefully left the room and rushed towards the center of King City. His speed was extremely fast. He retracted his aura and constantly flickered in the dark. Almost no one noticed him. In the center of King City there was a huge square. In the middle of the square, there was a stone pillar with various carvings on it. It was a totem pillar. Meanwhile, intense battles were taking place all around the square. A vast aura filled the air. 2 of them were extremely robust and they were over 10 meters tall. The aura they emanated was practically at the domain enlightened spirit god realm. Monarch god and 2 other powerful youths joined forces to fight a three-eyed divine race. As for the powerful youths of the Bloodblade continent, they joined forces to fight against the Flashing Eye race. Even further away, countless three-eyed god race beings were attacking the other geniuses. The totem pole was right in front of him, but he couldn't take it. This is my chance. Lu Ming's eyes lit up, and the bones in his body changed, transforming into a different appearance. He took a step forward and charged forward. Kill? One of the three-eyed god race beings noticed him and chopped at Lu Ming with his axe. Lu Ming punched out and killed that three-eyed god race being. When the people from Monarch God Palace, Sky Corpse Sect and Sky Demon Valley saw Lu Ming, they thought that he was one of their geniuses and naturally didn't stop him. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming killed several three-eyed god race beings and executed the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. His body flashed rapidly like a ray of light, passing through the battlefield and approaching the battlefield where Monarch God and the rest were fighting. He didn't stop and directly charged towards the totem pole in the center. And you're courting death. The three-eyed god race being who was fighting Monarch God and the rest was extremely powerful. The third eye between his eyebrows shot out a dazzling beam of light that pierced towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked. His body flashed continuously and retreated 100 meters to avoid the attack. Monarch God and the rest also looked at Lu Ming. They frowned. Lu Ming's appearance was very unfamiliar, and his aura was completely restrained. Which force was he from? He actually wanted to seize the totem pole by himself? You want to seize the totem pole? Wishful thinking. The tall and sturdy three-eyed god race being roared. However, as he roared, he spat out a mouthful of blood. There seemed to be an invisible force between heaven and earth that was pressing down on him. In this world, the three-eyed god race beings can't break through to the spiritual god realm. He forcefully entered the spiritual god realm and is suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. He's about to die. Monarch God roared and fought with all his might. These two three-eyed gods had forcefully entered the spiritual god realm and were suppressed by the laws. They couldn't unleash the strength of a spiritual god realm expert at all. Otherwise, no matter how talented Monarch God and the rest were, they wouldn't be a match for a spiritual god expert. The gap between a spiritual embryo and a spiritual god was too great. It was difficult to surpass because a spiritual god was a peerless genius. I can only use the inscription talisman. Lu Ming's gaze flickered, and the inscription talisman that Huan Zhen had given him appeared in his hand. As soon as he opened it, his spiritual energy suffused out. The inscription talisman lit up, and Lu Ming's body was suddenly covered by a formation. Then, his body trembled and actually split into 12 Lu Ming. There were a total of 13 Lu Ming. Of course, once he used the inscription talisman, he returned to his original appearance. However, the 13 Lu Ming's appearance and figure were exactly the same. Even their auras were the same. This is a good chance. Charge. Lu Ming was overjoyed. With a thought, the 13 figures split up and charged towards the totem pole at extreme speed. At this moment, the three-eyed god race was stunned. Monarch God and the others were stunned as well. Lu Ming, it's him. Monarch God shouted coldly as he recognized Lu Ming. Damn it. The three-eyed god race roared, and a beam of light shot out from between his eyebrows, hitting one of the Lu Ming. That Lu Ming's figure kept flashing as he dodged the light beams. The three-eyed divine race kept shooting out light beams from their eyes. After much difficulty, they finally hit their target. That Lu Ming collapsed, but the other 12 continued to charge forward. Humph, don't even think about it. Monarch God and the others also attacked, not wanting Lu Ming to seize the totem pole. On the other hand, the Blood Knife Continent and the three-eyed divine clan who were fighting with the Blood Knife Continent also took action to stop Lu Ming. The people of the Blood Knife Continent did not want Lu Ming to seize the totem pole even more. However, they did not know which one was Lu Ming's real body, so they could only attack randomly. The remaining 12 Lu Ming's figures kept flickering, dodging the attacks and approaching the totem pole. With so many experts blocking Lu Ming naturally could not dodge all of them. He was constantly hit and his body collapsed one after another. However, in the end there were still 2 bodies that rushed to the totem pole. Ah, damn it, no. The youth of the Blood Knife Continent shouted crazily. Monarch God and the others' eyes lit up. They were not too excited. No matter what, Lu Ming was from the Eastern Wilderness. If he seized the totem pole, he could still help the Eastern Wilderness open the ancient City of Fate. As for the luck points, they could get them in the ancient City of Fate. Chapter 955. Rise. The 2 figures of Lu Ming hugged the totem pole at the same time and roared. With a boom, the totem pole was pulled out by Lu Ming. The moment Lu Ming pulled out the totem pole, a beam of light descended from the sky and landed on Lu Ming's body. The attacks from all directions were all blocked by the beam of light. At this moment, the people of the three-eyed divine race, Di Xin, and the others did not attack Lu Ming. No. The geniuses of the Blood Knife Continent roared unwillingly and attacked Lu Ming crazily. Unfortunately, no matter how they attacked, they were all blocked by the beam of light. Buzz. Buzz. At this moment, beams of light descended from the sky and enveloped the youths of the Blood Knife Continent. Then, amidst their unwillingly angry roars, the light flashed and the geniuses of the Blood Knife Continent all disappeared. Obviously they had failed and were teleported out. Boom. At this moment, the totem pole in Lu Ming's hand trembled violently and flickered with light before flying into the sky. Then Lu Ming realized that the other totem pole in his storage ring had also flown out of his storage ring and into the sky. As for Di Xin and the others, totem poles also flew out of their storage rings. The most shocking one was Di Xin. 2 totem poles flew out of his storage ring at the same time. Millions of miles away from Royal City, a fatty was carrying a huge axe. Beside him was a beautiful girl. The 2 of them were casually walking in the sky. It was Fatty Kong Jin and Ruan Tingting. Suddenly, Fatty's expression changed. A totem pole flew out of his storage ring. The totem pole glowed and pierced through space, flying into the distance. In the next moment, Fatty finally reacted and let out a shrill scream, "Ah, my totem pole!" It was not easy for him to obtain a totem pole, but it had flown away on its own. He quickly flew in the direction of the totem pole. Rumble. The sky above Royal City trembled non-stop as totem poles gathered one by one. Soon, all 10 totem poles had gathered and formed a strange arrangement in the sky. At this moment, the battle in Royal City stopped. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the sky. Boom. The totem poles gathered together and emitted a bright light that soared into the sky. The space was hit by the light and a huge hole was torn open. From inside, one could see a huge ancient city. In the eastern wilderness, the upper echelons of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse Sect, the Sky Demon Valley, and the Talisman Puppet Sect all gathered at their respective ancient teleportation grounds. This was the entrance to the Battle of Providence. The Talisman Puppet Sect, by Shijin Du Songjue, and other high-ranking doyens as well as some powerful elders, were all gathered near the ancient stone in the area. It's almost a year's time. I wonder if the ancient city of destiny will open this time. Du Songjue let out a long sigh. It wasn't easy to open the ancient city of Providence. Most of the previous wars of Providence failed to open it. The number of times it could be opened was limited. Hopefully it can be opened. However, I'm afraid that the disciples of my Talisman Puppet Sect will be in danger as well. Bai Shijin also sighed. The other doyens also sighed. They were also conflicted. After the ancient city of destiny opened, they would enter the final battle. This was an opportunity for the disciples of the Talisman Puppet Sect, but it was also very dangerous. Without strength they would only be killed by others. At the same time they thought of Lu Ming. Their goal for Lu Ming was to rank first on the list of top 1,000 talents. However, they also knew that it was too difficult to rank first on the list of top 1,000 talents. Most importantly, Lu Ming had too little time. Before participating in the Battle of Providence, Lu Ming's combat strength could at most compete with the top 100 geniuses. However, the top 100 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were each more powerful than the last. It was too difficult for Lu Ming to catch up with those geniuses in just a year. After all, if he improved, those geniuses would also improve. They didn't have much hope in their hearts. Time passed slowly. Suddenly, the stone shook and emitted a bright light. It's open. The teleportation formation is open. This means that the ancient city of destiny is open. Bai Shijin and the others were overjoyed. Let's go in and enter the ancient city of destiny. Du Songjue shouted. Everyone stepped out and walked into the teleportation formation. At the same time, in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, Heavenly Corpse Sect, and Sky Monster Valley, an ancient stone also emitted light. The higher-ups of the three sects stepped into the teleportation formation and disappeared. In the eastern wilderness, above a barren mountain, there was an earth-shattering roar in the endless void. Wind and clouds gathered, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Suddenly the endless void cracked open and a huge space crack appeared. Then an ancient city emerged from it. This ancient city was more than 10,000 miles long and wide. In the middle of the ancient city, there was a huge fighting ring made of a strange metal with strange patterns on it. Around the fighting ring were rows of seats in a circle. There were many rows of seats like a coliseum. Sitting on the seats, one could watch everything that was happening on the fighting ring from above. On the north side of the fighting ring, there was no spectator stand. Instead, there was a long staircase that extended from below to the fighting ring. Suddenly, 4 black vortexes appeared in the sky above the spectator stand, and figures emerged from them. In one of the vortexes, Bai Shijin Du Songjue, and the other founding elders of the Talisman Puppet Sect appeared. On the right side of the Talisman Puppet Sect, there were figures with corpse chi and ghost chi. They were the higher-ups of the Heavenly Corpse Sect, and they were all powerful existences. Among them, there was a tall figure that was shrouded in corpse chi. It was impossible to see his appearance clearly. His aura was not strong, but it gave people a huge pressure. The Corpse Emperor of the Heavenly Corpse Sect. Seeing this figure, Bai Shijin and the others narrowed their eyes and became solemn. The Corpse Emperor of the Heavenly Corpse Sect was an Emperor Realm expert, and he was as famous as Emperor D. This time, even the Corpse Emperor had appeared. It was clear how much importance they attached to this Battle of Providence. Fortunately, the ancient city of destiny had a huge suppressive force, just like the entrance of the Battle of Destiny. The older one was, the stronger the suppressive force. Even an Emperor Realm expert would be greatly suppressed here, and he would not be able to display much of his combat strength. Therefore they were not too worried. If they were outside, the Corpse Emperor alone could kill them all. On the right side of the Heavenly Corpse Sect, another group of people appeared. They were the people of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The patriarchs of the 6 ancient clans were among them. There were also a few people who had a powerful aura. They were obviously people on the same level as the patriarchs of the 6 ancient clans. The patriarchs of the 6 ancient clans were not the only ones in the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. However, Bai Shijin and the others ignored them and looked at a middle-aged man in a purple gold robe. Emperor Di. Bai Shijin and the others were shocked. Chapter 956. Martial Emperor Di was famous in the Eastern Barren region. He had created the Di Tian Divine Palace and made it the strongest human force in the Eastern Barren region. He was very famous and powerful. Some people called Martial Emperor Di the strongest martial emperor in the Eastern Barren region. Even the Corpse Emperor was weaker than him. Moreover, Bai Shijin and the others knew that Di had killed Liao Tsang. They hated and feared Martial Emperor Di. When Martial Emperor Di appeared, he looked at the talisman puppet sect like 2 sharp swords. Although Martial Emperor Di was suppressed here, he still gave off a great pressure. Bai Shijin, Du Songjue, Meng Chong and the others' faces changed. They felt like a huge rock was pressing down on their hearts. Only one person looked at Martial Emperor Di calmly. Yan Kuangtu. Yan Kuangtu had also entered with the people of the talisman puppet sect. Yan Kuangtu's forehead flashed and Nine Suns Sovereign walked out. After a year, Nine Suns Sovereign's soul was much more condensed than before. It was almost materialized. His soul was strong and his soul was stable. He looked at Martial Emperor Di. Martial Emperor Di's eyes emitted a bright light and a strong murderous intent. Although he did not say anything, it was clear. Do you think hiding in the talisman puppet sect is useful? The Wang clan leader looked at Yan Kuangtu and the others and said coldly, your talisman puppet sect will be destroyed because of this sooner or later. I wonder how many people from the talisman puppet sect will come to the ancient city of fortune in this battle of fortune. Don't let them all die. The Jiang clan leader said coldly. Don't worry, the disciples of the talisman puppet sect will have their own opportunities. Bai Shijin said in a deep voice. It's useless to be stubborn. Soon you will see the reality. The Wang clan leader said coldly. This time Bai Shijin and the others did not reply. It was useless to say more. Di, I don't know what you are thinking. You have 2 powerful disciples and grand disciples, but you don't want them. I'm jealous. At this moment, a voice came from another direction. It was a woman's voice, but it was charming. It made people's heartbeat quicken and their hearts tremble. Everyone looked at the source of the voice. Over there, demonic aura surged into the sky. The demons of the Sky Demon Valley had arrived. Among them was a woman who looked to be around 30 years old. She was wearing a thin veil that revealed her devilish figure. Her appearance was so beautiful that it could turn the world upside down. Any man who saw her couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. Her every move, every frown, and every smile was filled with endless temptation. Demon Emperor. Central's heart trembled. The Demon Emperor of the Sky Demon Valley was said to be a 9-tailed fox, a pure-blooded 9-tailed fox. The pure-blooded 9-tailed fox was a divine beast. Although it wasn't particularly strong among the divine beasts, it was still extremely terrifying. Today, the 3 supreme existences of the Eastern Barren Territory, Emperor Di, the Demon Emperor and the Corpse Emperor, had all arrived. It was a grand occasion that was rarely seen in 1,000 years. The number of sovereigns in the Eastern Wilderness could be counted with one's fingers. Every one of them was a supreme existence. There was no doubt that Emperor Di, the Demon Emperor and the Corpse Emperor were the strongest existences among the sovereigns. Even though the Demon Sky Emperor was also an emperor, he was weaker than the 3 of them. Back then, the Demon Sky Emperor had only stopped Emperor Di's clone. Now, it was obvious that Emperor Di's real body had returned from the ocean. In comparison, the talisman puppet sect was too weak. Just a pair of evil disciples. Don't laugh at me, Demon Emperor. Emperor Di said coldly. Are they really evil disciples? Why didn't I hear the rumors say so? Di, you took the bloodline of the 9 suns and the blood essence of the 9 dragons. What do you want to do? I'm very curious. The Demon Emperor smiled slightly. His smile made many people's hearts beat faster. They were shocked and quickly looked away. They didn't dare to look at the Demon Emperor anymore. This was because the people present had high cultivation and had cultivated for many years. The weakest among them was an expert of the spiritual god realm. If those young people saw this, they would probably lose their minds and be unable to extricate themselves. Emperor Di's eyes flashed and he didn't answer. The demon emperor looked at De and smiled. No one knew what he was thinking. Then the place fell into silence. Everyone's eyes fell on the stairs. In the three-eyed divine tribe's monarch city, everyone looked at the sky and the huge thing that had appeared. Is that the ancient city of fortune? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Bus. Suddenly, pillars of light appeared from the ancient city of fortune and landed on the young geniuses who were participating in the battle of fortune. At this moment, no matter where they were, no matter which relic they were in or which forbidden area they were in, as long as they were not dead, a pillar of light descended from the sky and enveloped them. Then the space trembled and they disappeared. In the monarch city, the geniuses disappeared without a trace. It was the same for Lu Ming. As the light pillar vibrated, his figure disappeared from sight. In the next moment, Lu Ming found himself on a huge platform. Light flickered around him and figures kept appearing. Lu Ming saw the Arch-God and the other elites of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace, the Heavenly Corpse Sect, the Sky Demon Valley and the Talisman Puppet Sect. Huan Jin, Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi Shui and the others were all there. When they saw Lu Ming, they all smiled and walked over. The geniuses of the four overlord forces gathered together according to their forces. Lu Ming, are you okay? Huan Jin walked over and asked. I'm fine. This time I really have to thank you for the inscription scroll. Lu Ming smiled at Huan Jin. Without Huan Jin's inscription scroll, Lu Ming might not be able to seize the last totem pole even if he used all his strength. If he used all his strength, others would definitely stop him. How could he seize the totem pole? He used the inscription scroll to catch them off guard and seize the totem pole. Oh. Huan Jin's eyes lit up. Lu Ming said so. Did he succeed? Lu Ming. Wen Yuezhang, Bai Qi Shui and the others all came over to greet Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and responded to them one by one. Ah, Lu Ming, I knew you would be fine. With a loud laugh, Fatty walked over with his axe. Ruan Tingting walked side by side with Fatty. Fatty Tingting. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Since the beginning of the Battle of Providence, Lu Ming had not met Fatty and Ruan Tingting. To be honest, he was quite worried that something would happen to them. Now that he saw them, he was naturally happy. Lu Ming, Tingting was worried that something would happen to you. I knew it. How can those trash do anything to you? Fatty grinned and glanced at Emperor God Palace and Sky Monster Valley with disdain. Before entering the Battle of Providence, these two forces wanted to kill Lu Ming without mercy. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.